Athletes are always challenging themselves to get better. You've seen this in all sports. Esports is no exception. You can never predict the outcome. The only thing you can control is how ready you are. Over and over, players adapt, trying to improve, fighting hard for every percent gained. Give everything you've got to the challenge and show your finest. Bring your best out. Strive for perfection. It's our goal too.
Hello PUBG Esports fans. The PUBG Global Invitational.S, our biggest tournament yet, begins in February. With a tournament this big, there's a lot to take in. So let's take a look at the format and rules of PGI.S 2021. PGI.S's main event, the weekly series, will be held for a total of 6 weeks starting from February 8th. It is divided into the weekly survival taking place on weekdays and the weekly final held over the weekend. Unlike the previous global tournaments, points are not accumulated week over week, giving every team the same fighting chance each week. Weekly Survival features 16 matches held across 3 weekdays. The goal for teams is simple: win a single chicken dinner. Once you win, you stop playing and move on to the weekly final. The next team on the waitlist takes your place and a new match begins. This list is determined by ranked decision matches to decide the order our 32 teams participate. These 24 deciding matches take place over 3 days starting from February 5th and will divide our teams into 4 different groups. The top 16 teams from these groups face off in the weekly survival matches first. The weekly final is more like the PUBG Esports you're used to. 10 matches are held across 2 days, and points the teams earn are added up to decide their final ranking for the week. The 16 teams that played in the weekly final get the first shot at next week's weekly survival, and the remaining 16 teams decide their placement on the waitlist during a bottom 16 match held every Saturday, before the weekly final. From there, the cycle continues throughout the tournament. One of the big differences with PGI.S is that instead of receiving prize money based on your final rank is determined by how much prize money you've won. We're awarding prize money every week, and the team who has collected the most at the end will be crowned our PGI.S champion. Here's how it breaks down. The first 8 teams to win a weekly survival match each week take home an automatic cash prize, earning more the sooner they win. From there, the winners of the weekly finals tournament get an even bigger cash prize. The first place prize being $25,000 on week 1, and growing to an astounding $500,000 by week 6, giving teams lots of opportunity to catch up and claim the title. Winning isn't the only way teams are earning cash though. 30% of the total profit made from PGI.S item sales goes back to participating teams. This money will be distributed based on the percentage of money each team won in the tournament, with bigger rewards for the higher performing teams. So, not only do you get cool skins and voting coupons to earn even more cool skins, but you're also helping your favorite teams bring home more well-deserved prize money. Win-win! That about wraps up our overview of the PUBG Global Invitational.S. Initial ranking decisions happen on February 5th, and the first official matches kick off on February 8th. So be sure to tune in, pick your winners, and cheer on your favorite teams across 8 weeks of intense PUBG action.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to wherever you are and who you are across the world, and welcome to PGI.S 2021. My name is Sims, and today I'm going to be guiding you through all of the reseeding games, along with four fine gentlemen, two who are here on desk with me. We have Paper Thin, we have Cammy D. Gentlemen, it's a bit early for me, probably a more better time zone for you guys. How you're feeling? Clinton, let's start with yourself over in Korea, because we're all across the world today on this desk.
I'm feeling pretty good. It's lunchtime here. Yeah, we really do cover all the regions throughout us. And yeah, it's lunchtime here, so I'm feeling pretty good. I'm excited for these reseeding matches. I mean, I'm not excited in a way for some of the teams I'm seeing in here, but I can't wait for it to start.
Cammy, we're moving on to today. After we've done this, we actually move into our weekly finals, our first weekly final. It's going to be an exciting day, not only for the reseed, just to start this off and see where teams will be landing themselves next week as we move into week number 2, but to get to the first weekly finals after this. Like, it just seems to be PUBG all day, every day at the moment. It's such a fantastic time to be a PUBG Esports fan.
It really is. There are so many games that are constantly happening, and now that we added in the stream for the reseeding for every single weekend as well, I feel that even if you are in a region who the main games aren't in the best time zone for you, there's always something available every week to tune in for, and there's just a lot of PUBG Esports action, which is really cool to see because the games this week have been so good. We're going to be talking about a number of the teams that we're going to be seeing in our series today that we might think like don't necessarily belong here, however you want to basically define that. But nonetheless, if the action keeps popping off in the way that it has been, I'm really excited for these games.
So let's kind of break down a little bit more what we're going to be doing here right now on your screen. So as you know, we had the initial opening rounds, we had all the group stages, which give us a footing for our first weekly survival. We then found our 16 teams that go forward to the weekly grand finals. Now they're waiting in the wings to start their journey today. It's a bit back and forth. We started off with the esports rule settings, quote unquote. We then moved to our weekly survival where it's all about the chicken and it's about getting the win, which qualifies you for the weekly finals. That's later on today, and be sure to tune in for that because it's going to be an absolute hell in a cell bloodbath, because this is where the money starts to get serious. But What we're doing now is we are into our reseeding games. Now, if you weren't aware, these weren't supposed to be streamed. This is all additional now, so we've all kind of pulled together. Credit to everyone across the world, Korea, the production team over in Ukraine, all of us that are all spread across North America, Korea, everywhere else, over here in Europe as well. So we've all come together. We are able to put these on these shows, and it's good time to be involved, to be fair. It's really nice to be able to see these actually played out. But what happens today is we break down that bottom 17 all the way down to the unfortunate 32nd spot, which didn't get through last time, being multi-circle gaming. Now we throw these guys back into the arena. Now we throw them back into that esports setting environment. We have to see where they're going to be actually playing off from. Now, it's not often I would ever kind of say this, so to speak, but for the first time ever, Clinton, we're actually playing for a 17 spot, which is kind of weird. And you know, when you think about some of these teams, and let's, for instance, you can see this, the teams on screens. Let's kind of break this down a little bit more and dive into it. Tiamba. When we look at Tiamba, this is a team that came into this, Clinton. We expected so much more from this team than we've actually been given.
Yeah, it's been a really difficult struggle for them, especially during the weekly finals. I mean, they were in all 16 games, or during the weekly qualifier, excuse me, and they couldn't make it through. They couldn't get that win. In fact, the best they could do was third place, with 2 third places was the best they ever finished. Now, they did have a 6th place round with 13 kills, but what I'm seeing from Tiamba is that lack of consistency. Particularly, I'm going to point out M200. Only 4 kills in 16 games. That is a very low number for him. Tiamba is typically a team that's pretty even across the board, similar to like a Damwon Kia or something like that, where, yeah, there's a few players who are superstars like Lu Ren and Lin Shun, but other than that, like, they are pretty even. They're not doing it. They're not playing their normal style. I'm seeing them play hesitant. I'm seeing them play cautious in areas I don't normally see them play. It's like they're kind of playing the opposite. They fight when they shouldn't, and they run when they shouldn't. There's kind of this idea that they're trying to play for that win, and they're not taking the right fights at the right time. They're holding onto compounds longer than I would normally see them do, not getting it out into open space, which is where I think they fight a little bit better. And you know, you still see good moments for them. They're great with their utility, similar to SDK, with their ability to use their smokes and frags and those kind of things. But overall, I'm really struggling to see how they're going to do better. It's really going to have to change fast.
Now, we are cherry-picking a few teams here and there, and that's just because of the expectation that has been set coming into this competition. Cammy, I want to move on to Damwon Gaming, because for all intents and purposes, even after that first initial group stage that we saw, this was supposed to be the team that was the world's best. This was the team that, again, for all intents and purposes, looked like a championship roster to maybe dethrone Gen G, but somehow we found them down here in the reseeding games.
Yeah, it was incredibly disappointing, especially as you say, how dominant of a showing they had during the ranking decision. They were up there basically neck and neck with the Sonics, tied, not literally tied, but still up there for competition for the first place spot. But then once we hit the weekly survival, it's almost like the opposite of what Clinton is saying for Tiamba, whereas Tiamba might be playing like too far in a switch up of style because of the survival format. Damwon are not at all. They dominated the opening weekend by focusing playing on edge, and then once like the mid game hit, they basically sweep around to get kill after kill after kill, and they wouldn't always necessarily make it towards the late game, but they would have so many kill points in their pockets. Even if they went out in 6th place, 5th place, it wouldn't be that much of an issue for them. But that is not how you play weekly survival. Yes, you do want to get kills during weekly survival because you can't just snake and crawl it out anymore with lobbies that are this stacked, but you do still need to play at least a little bit more survival focused. Now that we're back into the weekend where we're back towards just regular basic super scoring, it is not all about the chicken dinner. I do expect to see Damwon Gaming get back up to the level that we saw the previous weekend. I just hope that this week wasn't a sign of things crumbling and falling apart within their internal communication and strategy.
Which I think this is a bigger picture, and we can probably talk on this all day long, to be fair. I'm not entirely sure when the games are going to be starting up in the back, so if we have to cut everyone short and we dive it straight into the games with the casters, I do apologize. We'll just go with it. We want to see some PUBG, and I'm totally fine with that. This stage, by the way, is just looking incredible. Like, to be able to say that and again, there's been a lot to get to this point. Let's not take this away from anybody. With the amount of COVID-19 restrictions that are in place, to be able to put on this level of event, I think is just a fantastic feat from everybody involved. I mean, Clinton, you could probably speak on it a bit more over how the restrictions have been within Korea, but we'll kind of just hold for now on that thought and really talk about a couple of more teams and how meta is adapting and shifting, so to speak. We have these esports rules initially, but then we have to move to the survival stage where it's all about getting a win. And for some teams, it can be a little bit hit and miss. I want to talk about DA a little bit more. I'll let you open up, Clint, on this side. For DA, again, I think it was day 2. They set the bar. They picked up 50 points throughout the group stage on day number 2. They look like a formidable force coming out of Europe. But now, again, we found them down in the reseeding games because ultimately that smash and grab, no pun intended, to move forward just didn't seem to work out for them.
Yeah, it's kind of a feast or famine style that they run with, and this is what I've been seeing from DA in their scrims and their games. Is they're aggressive, they're not afraid to fight. We see it with 4AM that they're willing to fight over even a drop spot during the weekly qualifiers. They're a very strong team top to bottom. Merit is definitely underperforming for this team. He was the lowest damage dealer out of anyone who played 16 games in these qualifiers. So, I mean, you know, Smash, Code Marco have been playing great, Metrelius as well, but they're lacking a little bit in certain situations. Their ability to dive in the center, I liked the idea initially, but at times they do, like we've seen, get themselves, they just take a shack, they sit there, and those are very dangerous positions for anyone to be in. Making those work is very, very dicey. So for DA, I think it's going to help that 4AM is already qualified and they're not in this lobby, so they're not going to be fighting them. But going forward, just try to be a little bit more disciplined, you know, try to take proper fights. And if you're going to dive for center circle, really make sure you scout it, really make sure you know what you're getting into.
I suppose that could be said for said when we're looking at different styles and such and how teams have been performing moving into this one. T1's another team that I kind of want to focus on, and that's because of how up and down. When you look at that roster on paper, Cammy, you think, yeah, this is going to perform. Yeah, this is going to do well. But we know leading up until this major event, things have been a bit dicey, things have been a bit choppy. But ultimately, they've started to look pretty solid. I know things have kind of fallen off and they find themselves down in the reseeding side of it, but there has been signs of life that we would expect from T1, and there has been signs of them doing fantastic and been a formidable opponent in this event.
Yeah, they came into this entire PGI.S considered by most people, myself included, as the weakest team from the Korean region. But then when you look at the entire weekly survival, there's an argument to make that they were actually the best performing overall, even if they weren't one of the Korean teams to qualify. I think it's a toss-up between either them or Gen G, who is the best from that region. But they're just looking so solid for a team that has been pretty disparate the entire months leading up towards this event. Aqua 5 and Dengshe specifically have really been popping off. There's one little bit of criticism. It's that I still worry that they're too much individualistic in their playstyle, which is good that we see these individuals being able to take matters into their own hands, but we also know that that is not going to win an entire tournament. This is, and we've said this multiple times, we're going to start saying it less and less as the event moves on, but this is a 2-month-long tournament. And so the hope is with Aqua 5 and Dengshe really taking the lead, it's going to give them a little bit of breathing room to get the entire roster all keyed and locked in. But even just judging off of the weekly survival, they have been looking so much better than any other expectations coming in have been.
You see production just kind of flying through some of the teams, some of the big heavy hitters going into this lobby, and instantly your eyes always just set towards Tiamba, Damwon Kia. Like, these teams to be down at this point was probably not where they anticipated to be, but ultimately this is where you start yourself. Now, there's kind of a good point, bad point when you look at it. If you are going to have a bit of a poor performance, let it be week 1, right? Because this is where the money's a little bit lower. If you can ramp that up, and we've spoken, Clinton, about this comeback ability, about this, when we go down the line, I mean, I think it's the final week where it's $500,000 on the line. If you're going to have your poor performances, you need to have it now, because the more we go through this tournament, the higher and the sharper the jump this money gets.
Yeah, and I think for the 3 teams that I personally had as the top 3 teams coming into this event, Tianba, MCG, and Damwon Kia, I think these are 3 teams that can adjust. They have fantastic play callers across the board, particularly I think of Sungjong on Damwon Kia, a guy who's adjusted to so many different metas across so many different regions and competitions that he's been in. I mean, Sungjong has been a play caller for going on 3 or 4 years now, and he's always had his team, whether they were OG and Entis Force or OG and Entis and now Damwon Kia, always had them in shape to do well. You got to give a lot of credit to their coaching staff, who is always putting them in good situations. They adapt incredibly well. Same thing with Tiamba. They've been adapting throughout all of 2020 to different situations that they've thrown in. I'm a little curious about MCG. To me, they haven't looked good in scrims. They haven't looked good in the games, of course. And with Summer, that veteran play caller who was on VC Gaming for PGC when they got 5th, is he going to be able to rally that squad and bring them back to a better finish this go around?
I'm glad you touched on MCG, because let's not put any kind of qualms about this one. It's so vital that they perform through this reseeding and show that they are still a championship fit, championship ready team, because they came 32nd. Let's cast our minds back and think to the seeding games as a whole. They came 32nd, which basically just disqualified them altogether from playing last week. Now they're back in the fray. Cam, if you're an MCG fan, surely, even though you're only playing for 17th position here, you have to put on some god-level performance to show the rest of the world that there's something left in the tank.
I mean, there should be something after there should be a lot left in the tank. I was actually looking at MCG to carry the banner from their region of China. I know that they weren't the best in the scrims overall, but scrims, you can only take so much away from them. Up until that point, they were winning so much. They won PCS 3. They performed very, very well in almost every single event that they performed in since then. And so the fact that they come in and just basically not exist during a ranking decision was incredibly disappointing. And then they didn't play at all during the weekly survival, because that's what being in 32nd place means. But if there is any upside to take away from that, is that it gives them that much time to really get together, center themselves, and figure things out. Like you said, with Clinton as Summer leading everything through. I mean, you have Tank on your team, right? Like, isn't he supposed to be one of the new, the leading stars of China coming up? There's got to be a way.
Yeah.
Exactly. There's got to be a way for this team to really get it all together. You can argue whether them not playing throughout this week is only going to hamper their own mechanical abilities, but I do think that for a team that bottomed out, that dropped so heavily, I would argue that having a little bit of actual rest time with no stress of play and just being able to recenter yourself is going to do wonders for them. I am hoping. We'll see what happens, though.
I can see some of the players are just getting into the lobby in the back, already queued up on screen, so hopefully we're getting these games underway rather sharpish. You won't see too many assets. Again, these reseeding games are just pulled together at the final hour to be able to bring you this show on, so it's more of us just kind of talking it over, seeing who's what, seeing who's going to be playing, and theorizing who could do well. Let's kind of turn our attention really quickly to the essentially 17th seed coming into this one, Boomerang, a team that just missed out, Clinton, but certainly one that's raised a lot of attention, and, you know, rightfully so, given the damage that they've done in APAC coming into this.
Yeah, Buriram is a team that can fight, no doubt about it. They're one of the most mechanically gifted teams I've ever seen. Top to bottom, that squad is absolutely fantastic. And looking into this, they've come close a lot of times, but this is, again, another team that reminds me of DA in some ways, that they're boom or bust. Now, they're more of a team that tends to play from the edge more based on their drop spots. They'll play from the center if they're given it, but they like to play from the edge. They like to fight. They like to clear space. If they think there's even like a 51% chance they're going to win a fight, I feel like they're going to take it. So for them, their natural aggressive style, I think, benefits them more for these weekly end tournaments, whatever you want to call them, whether it be the actual grand finals or the reseeding. But during the week, they're going to have to find a way to harness that aggression and turn it into wins, because typically a lot of the damage they get done is in kills.
Another team, again, this is just us kind of just talking through, giving you some sort of lay of the land of who's going to be playing today and our expectations that have been set as a precedence coming into it. For me, ENCE, and again, that might be just a European fanboy, or more importantly, a squeaky fanboy. I think the man is an absolute beautiful player and just a fantastic personality and addition to have within the European scene. But there was a lot of eyes on them, especially coming into this when everyone's like, Tornado Energy should have been invited. Tornado Energy, don't invite ENCE, don't invite. There was a lot of uproar from various different parties. Don't get me wrong, I think this team can fight with the best of them at the times, and certainly, Cammy, I must say, I think the consistency for ENCE is there. It's just that trying to capitalize on that win last week just looks so damn difficult for this roster, but I still believe in it.
They surprised me when they came in to the weekly survival matches. I don't remember their exact ranking off of rank decision, but they came in around halfway through, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, about halfway through the second day, literally. So with the fewer games that they had to play, I do think they looked pretty good. And we were talking about them being up there with Divine, with Buriram, with DA as like the team that could, like, that's so close to making it that we would be more surprised if they didn't than if they did. Maybe a little lower on that list than DA especially, or maybe even Buriram. Well, Buriram's first day, at least. Nonetheless, all this to say that while they've been criticized for being too passive coming into this event, I don't think that that's the only way that they know how to play this game. They showed us that during the weekly survival, even though that one particular late game on the hill on Erangel is a little bit of a, it's a big miss, actually, not a little bit of a miss, it's a big miss from them. I still think on average they perform very, very well, and they're one of the teams that I actually expect to place really high up here and probably going to be a higher seed going into next week's weekly survival than this previous one's.
I think we've got about another minute until we get into the game, Cammy, so I'll kind of stick with you there, and then we can roll back to Clinton, and we can talk a bit more about Zenith, because as an American roster, I'm sure, a North American roster, you'll appreciate this one. You want to see them do quite well, but again, I think they're kind of in the same boat. Oh, actually, you know what? I believe I've been told the game, so we'll actually hold on this one, Cameron. We'll get your thoughts, and we'll see if they actually perform pretty well for this next first game. Yeah, have a think about it, and we'll see how it goes. But for now, the bottom 16, week 1, day 1 is about to get underway. Ladies and gentlemen, tweet the stream, let everyone know the reseeding matches are about to get going. Porosaurus and Godspeed, gentlemen, over to you.
Hello, everybody, and we are here for game number 1 of the week 2 reseeding. I want to let you know that these games are brought to you by Zowie, Toomey, Perrier, and PGI.S is presented by Intel, where gaming happens. I am Porosaurus. Joining me today is my bestie, Godspeed. Sir, how are you doing?
I am doing absolutely fantastic. These games, man, let me tell you, watching international competition again has just been, it's such
great,
a treat. And I mean, even when we go to a lobby like this, which is technically the quote unquote bottom half, I mean, these are still, anyone can be here. These teams are absolutely incredible. Some of them have been disappointing, but I think this is the stage where some of them wake up and realize it's time to go.
Well, if they haven't woken up by that first week and seeing themselves not make it to the top, to the first weekly finals, I don't know what it's going to take, but looks like we might begin with a little bit of a hot drop here. DXG and GEX going to be fighting over Monte Nuevo. Now, it looks like for their part, they are keeping it kind of spread out. Does not look like a full 4v4 hot dropping like we kind of got accustomed to seeing between 4 a.m. and Digital Athletics. But okay, I'm going to steal the vehicle. And we got our circle. It's going to go down south of Los Leones. And there you go. First starting off, CC. Going to barely lose the 1v1 Fergus with 5 HP.
Yeah, Division X is they're gonna grab the first frag of the game. Oh, wait a second. Leo in a little bit of trouble as well.
Let's see if the rest of the DXG boys can collapse on top of this. IQ 500 going to get knocked low by some good shots from Allier. We see some shotgun pushing. Leo looking for that shot through the window. Can he get it? No, he cannot. He's got some backup here with the VSS daddy himself as they chase, run. And no, IQ 500, you can only run so far. Finally gets spotted out by Yan Li, but it's not over yet, Godspeed.
Oh, MBK now coming in with an M16 of his own. And I mean, Monty is such a notoriously obnoxious place to fight. There's so many different angles that you can get cut off by, that you can be held by. Obviously, there's a lot of buildings, and this is definitely one of those cities where the fight can take much longer than you actually want it to, especially off the start of the game. And not only that, but the circle has, I mean, it's shown that it's south. So, I mean, these guys don't even have the comfort of fighting in the circle itself. And now more shots coming out. MBK, can he find anything? I really like this setup, though, coming out from Gex. Very patient.
Yeah, GEX taking, being very, very quickly with how they collapse on top of this, while DXG a little bit more spread off. You can see Long K only just now arriving in the vehicle. Now one is going to get shot very, very low. Malier picking up the big boy bullet hose M249 as MBK slowly going to heal up. Going to get a little bit of support from Fergus up top, and Long K going to provide some support as well as we wait and see how DXG decides they want to push this. Global Esports XSET not too terribly, doesn't look like they're too excited to go and push out into this.
Well, no, and the reason why is what I was talking about earlier. The angles on top of that, MBK has been kind of gatekeeping them from really getting any different angles. And now that that door is destroyed, I mean, grenades, flashes, even mollies potentially become a possibility as they're starting to sense them off. And again, this is a rough early fight because you're really gaining nothing off of this except for potentially, a drop spot if that's what they really want going forward.
Well, looks
Oh,
like
this is
EX
this is very
yeah, it's a
cheeky.
dirty little angle. And they've got Yan Li there across the street to provide him a little bit of heads up if anybody starts
Long.
moving over. Long K trying to go for that nice little flank there. Looks
Yep,
like he's going to spot him
there
as
it
he's
is.
hopping in. Mao Ye goes down. And Long K trying to push up here. Looks like he might have taken some damage from Yan Li. But the rest of the squad, you can see Fergus still holding anchor. Here comes the push. Oh, the shotty from Leo going to hit him. And now Yan Li going to try to put a few bullets over into NBK. Not going to find their point just yet, but now he's got to start moving over as well. But Yan Li and Leo both extremely low health here. I'm not sure what their med situation is. You can see Leo using those bandies right now while NBK is going to go for the res onto Long K, bring DXG back up to 3 strong. But DXG, I'm not sure if Gex can they get to Mal? Yeah, I'm not sure. Looks like they might be
really
trying
hard.
to.
Yeah, it's really
Yeah, there they
hard
go.
for Yan Li to make that cross. And on top of that, that knock that Long K got was absolutely crucial. But it looks like they are, but a refrag. Excuse me, a re-knock.
We're not coming in from Fergus. Yan Li going to try to push him back just a little bit. While this fight is going on, we've got a bunch of teams starting to move in to the south part of Los Leones. But let's see if we can wait this one out, see how it ends here. Is Leo holding a dirty angle? That's going to do it. Long K goes down. It's down to just Fergus as he is going to maybe try to go for the res here onto Long K. GEX can't go for a res on Amalier, so this might be a hard push coming through.
It's not the worst idea to go for a res, actually. I mean, he's buying time, but he has to hear that potentially pushes are coming, especially with those shots. He's going to back off now. And can he get out? Oh, this was such a bloody fight.
At this point, if you're Fergus, are you the rest of the team? Are they telling you, hey, just try to get out, survive, see if you can maybe solo into the late game, and or just do we want to stick this out and try to pull off the 1v2?
Yeah, I mean, the main facet of this battle is whether or not they want to actually contest this in another game. You know what I mean? If Monty is the position that either team wants, it's maybe not the end of the world for Fergus to try to stay and fight. Maybe cap off one more and show them that it's going to be a difficult position to hot drop, or he could just back off and kind of make do with the points that they have. I think they have 2, and try to get some more down the line, because we are back in the super settings here. So that's going to potentially be the play to just salvage some points.
That does look
It just
to
depends
be
on the
the
goal.
plan. Yep. Looks to be the plan. Fergus going to pull off. Looks like DA going to be pulling off of metagaming here. I'm not sure who crashed who, but DA going to be the one to pull away as Star-Lord finds himself a little bit separated from the rest of the boys. I think they might be holding just off in the distance here, so this should probably be a fairly safe run for him. Meanwhile, MCG are, I guess if you could say there was one disappointing team from the first week, MCG would have to be the one.
I mean, this is a team that, I mean, you and I were just talking about it. You had mentioned that they won PCS for Asia. You know what I mean? This is a dominant team, Multi-Circle Gaming, and especially some of the performances we saw from 995 iTech. I mean, this player is absolutely bonkers, but they just couldn't get anything together. I mean, it didn't look like they were anywhere close to the same team that we saw in PCS. They would just died in rotation. They couldn't get team fights together. Oh, well, look at this. Oh, shots coming out. Day trade. Digital Athletics.
This has been the tale of the tape for DA, and at least in the last day or two, they try to make these rotations and they get there maybe just a half second too late. Day trade already holding court, holding position. Mert going to be the one to pay the price there, and now they've lost 2. DA going to have to play this one out as a duo. But they do manage to keep alive, keep away. They're going to be going to the south side. The circle, obviously, is going to have to cut up north here eventually. So for the next few circles, at least, they should be okay, you would think, as you see our last few remaining teams starting to make it into the circle. Fergus, our solo from DXG down there, about to roll into Los Higos. While we have a quick second, Godspeed, I do want to let everybody know. I know there's a lot of people in chat looking for the codes.
Yep.
We are not going to be doing codes for these playing games today. It may change. I'm not sure, but since this was kind of a last minute addition, we haven't really got the code set up going. So if you are here looking for those codes, we won't have them in this set of games. We will, however, have them in the next set of games. So make sure that you tune in for those. If you want to still hang out and watch with us right now, while Zenith tries to scrap with E36, Poon going to go down. Has not been flushed just yet. Roth going to do a little damage from the top side. We see.
Yeah, and Roth
Looks like.
Sorry, Roth was looking, had a really nasty angle, but so did Kickstart, and I believe Poon started off with a knock on interforces that were rotating in. But now Silva, and Zenith! Roth has actually been really impressive so far. I think he's had some really nice plays to his credit for the team. Zenith, they had a rough start. I feel like they're starting to kind of get their bearings straight, and now we're starting to see them play a little more aggressive as well. Here on the east side, going for kind of like a rotation camp. I don't know if it was intentional, but they saw the opportunity, they took it, and I'll tell you what, taking 4 for 1 is definitely worth it in my book.
Yep. 4 Poonage is a trade that I think they will usually. I'm not saying anything bad about Poonage. Poonage has been playing out of his mind, and but you know, you take those 4, you take those 4 points. Now that we're back in the super settings, circle gonna go hard to the east. That's gonna favor DGW, Tiamba, Zenith, even Kia. Kia a little bit disappointing in those weekly finals games. Could never find that last step to get the win, and to be fair, rarely found themselves even in the top 5. So it was a struggle bus all the way around for Damwon.
Yeah, I just feel like it was all gas pedal, and then by the time the mid game happened, they were just, there was nothing left in the tank, which is crazy because Damwon is, I mean, at least in my opinion, we're definitely one of the favorites coming in, right? I didn't think they'd be here in the reseeding, but I mean, that's also a credit to how crazy the competition is. All the teams here are pretty nuts. As we see multi-circle rotating now, going towards the top here of the mines, as Meta kind of skirts around as well.
Yeah, Buriram had a very wide 1-1-1-1 or 1. That's a little bit too many ones. 1-1-1-1 split all the way across the middle. It looks like they should be able to get back together. Meta, for their part, are going to head into the tunnels for the time being as MCG makes their roll right over the top of them. We'll see if MCG has designs on maybe going down in here. Looks like they're comfy hanging out right here for the time being.
Right
so just right on top as we wait and see. They'll be getting protected. Or Meta will be getting a little bit of protection from MCG here, unless Ling do. But that's also going to be them taking their kills away. Which, yeah, there you go.
As well as just holding them out, Poro. I mean, they're really just going to be holding them there because there's only 2 entrances in and out of the tunnels, you know, that mine. So realistically, it could be a blessing and a curse. And it looks like a curse.
Wow, I'm actually surprised to see Lingdu actually committing to this, and all of MCG committing to this as they want to take this 4v4 fight inside the tunnels. This is a indication of that we are back to super settings, baby. Nobody worried about going for that win right now. They just want the points. And MCG learning very quickly that the boys from LATAM are not to be taken trifled with here.
No, and they're actually they just wiped out half of MCG in, I mean, literally seconds. And now this is a very nice converted push. Spray coming out, and it's not good.
Tank, 995. I mean, look, Sparking's an amazing player, but Tank had about half a mag to take care of Sparking right there, and he just fanned on it. That is not a player you see whiff that often, and he just absolutely. I mean, you look at Sparking; he's got still over 75% of his health. That is super unfortunate there for Tank. Maybe a little bit of rust getting knocked off here in the early game.
Multi-circle. I mean, I really don't know what to say about these guys. They shouldn't they shouldn't be in these positions that they've been finding themselves, especially in early game situations. I mean, these guys have proven that they're very methodical in controlling the late game circles, but they're having issues just getting there.
That's the thing, right? You got to get 4 up to the late game if you're going to control the late game. And there we go. The circle going to shift east again, and Zenith going to find themselves right in the dead center. They're going to have a little bit of company just off to the northwest from Kia. Ents, meanwhile, all alone on the north side. We'll see how long it stays that way, as I'm sure we'll see a few of our teams that are outside of the circle right now trying to make their way on the long rotation up towards the north.
Looking at the map here as well, I mean, obviously Zenith in a pretty prime position, but that can also go south very quickly, especially if Damwon decides that they want to maybe take an early push. But here we have Petrichor right onto LG Divine. Nikki looking for it, and they're not quite in. And I like this scouting as the rest of LG comes in, but you know, Mamu from Petrichor is doing the same thing, so these two teams might run into each other. And either way, they're kind of just waiting, because on the other side is Meta.
Mamu definitely all by himself right here. He's going to take advantage of the situation, though. Finds Nikki, finds the down. Try to turn it back over towards Turtle. Make sure he gets the flush here. Yes, he does. Sees if he can get anything else. Nope. Let's get on out of here. The rest of the team is making their way up the hill to provide him some support. So maybe Petrichor does want to continue this fight, as Mamu going to go ahead and reposition himself. But it looks like Divine, they're just going to take the L and move on.
Yeah, Petrichor, actually, if they really scout this out, they would see that Divine has a fairly clean rotation up ahead of them. They could either backfill them or even try to cut them off. But it looks like they're actually going to be staying back. Regardless, Petrichor still has a good ridge, good sightlines to work with. However, the rotation, depending on where LG goes, LG Divine could be a little wonky. We'll have to see.
I'll keep an eye on that. And as I said, they do have Meta just off to the south, although Meta's still, I believe, hiding out in those caves. As we see T1 making the long wraparound from that western side, taking a few shots towards them from day trade, but those are very ambitious long-range shots. They do
You never
get
know.
a couple of tires. You never do know. You never do know. They do manage to take out a few tires, and basically, I mean, they're just destroying these vehicles for T1. I don't know if they're going to be able to use these for any more rotation. Oh, no, Star-Lord.
What happened?
Jumps out.
I mean,
I don't know if he jumped out just a little bit. That's easily resable, though.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, he should be fine, but that is unfortunate. Ooh, Aqua 5 is so ridiculous. I'm sorry, I just have to praise him. That player
By all means.
is absolutely ridiculous. I think he's one of the most precise players with both grenades and rifles, or just even DMRs. I'm a huge
Sorry, just
Aqua 5 fan. I'm not gonna hide it.
I was gonna say you were definitely singing the praises of Aqua Silence. This might be it for Fergus here. Oh no! Dangshay!
Dongshay, what happened?
And Fergus is still
And now-
alive.
And Adder is down as well.
Okay, Star-Lord, finally. What? Dangshay, you gotta get that knock, buddy. He was dead to rights, and now Aqua 5 gonna get spotted out by Nurans as well, while Star-Lord goes for the res here. And here we have Zenith. The new circle has popped. They're making their way across the street where Detonation Gaming White was starting to make their way in. They're going to be trading shots back and forth. Not going to get the knock just yet. Kickstart down to about 25 HP. The grenades are starting to come out. That's going to push Gokuri off, and that's going to be good news for them. Although Gokuri, on his way out, will send a flaming regards to Kickstart. Kia will steal the down, and now down to just Roth and Shinboy as they are getting picked apart from Kia from range. Oh, no.
And that's so rough to fight in all these little pockets, especially with utility. We see these nades, and all the shots coming out. He's gonna find it, and that's it. Gex is down. All these nades in these pockets are so easy to get caught up in it, as we saw Molly kind of knock one of the members of Zenith, and then Shinboy getting picked off, I think, from the distance of Petrichor. So just absolute insanity, as Roth is the only one left to get away.
Levi's comes up. Oh, that's a perfect grenade. There you go. That's what you want, the grenade. You don't want the smoke. This is a perfectly placed grenade. Should get him. Yes, it does. Ikeslef going to be dipping out of that and will survive for the time being. Let's see if he might actually be able to get a cheeky knock or a flush here or two onto the LG Divine boys, but it looks like he's just going to go ahead and play it safe for now. Here's the footsteps right above him. Meanwhile, more craziness going on out into the southwest as Meta trying to make their way in at the same time as Buriram. Oh, Ixlef gets spotted out by June. So that's going to be it for Petrichor going out in 13th place. Buriram, though, going to be scrapping with Meta here on the very edge. They've got a wide split here. Godmeow all the way up to the north, Edie off to the east, and Canaxi down to the south. Meta all in the middle of them. So Meta needs to figure out how they want to approach that fight.
Yeah, the other thing about Meta's position as well is running into Buriram. That's a decent position for this circle, but if it shifts and they have to cross, I mean, they have detonation just right across the road. And again, these are all pockets. Nice nade coming out from Connexy.
Buriram boys have shown that they are not afraid of pushing a fight. Sparking now the last hope for Meta. Will get another point there. That's 5 points in the bag. Despite what happens to Meta here, that's still a pretty good performance for game one. We'll see if Meta can pull off a few more. Sparking, no, Edie gonna sneak up behind him, and that will do it for them. But Meta picking up a nice 6 kills in first game. That's not too shabby when you go out in 12.
No, not bad at all. That's still 6 points. And here we have, looks like Vanatica from Day Trade. Now they're making a move onto this compound.
Looks like they finished off what was left of Digital Athletics going out in 11th. Once again, Ents looking fantastic for the late game. They are the farthest north team. Nobody anywhere near them. They do have to worry a little bit about Kia Damwon that's just off to their south. Damwon been fragging out so far this game. And now the circle has pushed north of the road. And we've got a number of teams and solos that still have to make their way. Tiamba being the most notable, has to make their way in. They're spotting out Buriram boys.
Yeah, and I think the south here is actually going to be a complete slaughter. We actually see Damwon starting to make their way up. I'm curious if they're trying to clear out their edge or potentially hold out the teams that they know have to rotate into the north. And speaking of Ents, I mean, Poro, look at this split. This is a beautiful split, and it's I don't even really feel like it's that risky. Any one of the 4 players there in the north from Ents can absolutely kind of taper off and reinforce one of the other either duos or even one of the solos. So love the position they're taking, but overall, it really comes down to this fight in the south. There are so many teams packed here, Poro.
Absolutely. As we see the circle starting to push in. Buriram trying to set up something. Evil Lee going to be the snake in the grass that spots out Flash. And he will go down. Evil Lee going to try to make his way through. Flash gets flushed. Flash gets flushed. That's fun. Tiamba still 4 up. Looks like they have at least one. They got at least one motorcycle to work with. M200 going to be bringing up the back line. Edie will spot out Evil Lee, and that will do it for MCG. Traded immediately by M200, although he is going to get spotted out by Canaxi. As the rest of Tiamba looks like they have made their way across the street. They found a foothold. M200 did his job well. Even though he does go down, they do still need to take care of the rest of Day Trade as they are getting tickled by the blue on that far western side. Canaxi, see if he's got any more late game heroics in him. No, Lin Shun. Actually, it's going to be Rustenmar from way downtown.
Yeah, Russ grabbed that, but again, you still have Damhong as well holding this side as Tiamba. This is, I mean, the south is, this is an absolute bloodbath, and as we said earlier, Ents is up top, just, you know, having a good time, sipping on their drinks, just watching everything happen. Is,
I mean, they still have the price tags on their armor and helmets. Like they haven't even, I don't even know if they've looked at anything yet. If anybody's got close enough to them, but the rest of the lobby is starting to make their way up to the north here finally, and now it's starting to get a little bit of an angle on different people, start to get involved. The new circle will pop here shortly. We'll see if people are going to have to continue to move into Ents. And there you go. It's looking that way.
Looks like they will.
This is looking. I'm telling you right now, this is looking like a 5-win Ents victory going away. Pretty easy, I mean, but we'll see what happens. Damwon still has some work to do. Yeah,
the consolidation from Ents here is just going to be so strong for their position, but that doesn't mean that they're out of it as Damwon delivers the death blow to the rest of T1 as they're eliminated in 7th here. And now Tiamba, what is their play? Coming into the circle, they're going to be held out here, and an on Lorena. Okay.
Oh, that's a sexy sounding gun right there.
Yeah, this will open up almost any play. I mean, one shot, one knock is absolutely massive, and just the destructive power of that on bullet, even to level 2 vest. I mean, you can just get that easy knock, and that could open up a play, but we'll see.
You can see the Tiamba boys still peeking up over the top, trying to see if they can get vision onto Damwon. Zenith will go out in 6th. Some good snake work there by the young man Roth. As we see Damwon now that Tiamba has pulled back from peeking them, looks like they're interested in wrapping around on the south side here. Now, the south side's still pretty crazy. As you got Tiamba, you got the full 4-man squad of Detonation, and now you've got the 3-man squad of Divine, and they are all crashing onto each other all at the same time. All of these teams except for ENCE.
Oh my goodness, June, hello? That was disgusting. Hello, he's not going to get it done either. June is on fire.
June, he was replaced in the final day by Nikki, but it looks like they've kept Nikki in, put June back on the roster, which is probably the play considering that was your high fragger man, and you can see why that kid is going bananas. Meanwhile, Tiamba all of a sudden just that quickly finds themselves down to just Lin Shun. The grenades are coming in. Damwon not wasting any time trying to clear this out. And they are pushing Lin Shun. See if he is able to snake anything off of this. Just hiding behind.
Not a
under
chance.
with the good eyes.
Not a chance. Oh, what a grenade from Macau. But either way,
done here as a solo.
I mean, he's doing his best, but he's still, I mean, he's holding off LG Divine, I think, to the best of any solo's ability here. But eventually, I mean, he's also got to get in the circle, and in the circle is waiting Damwon.
Damwon just holding down there in that little bit of a valley there. Macau going to find another one.
Wow.
Now Diggory, it looks like he spotted him out at the rock. And
so well played.
That'll be Macau going down to Turtle. Squeaky will find June. And that's going to do it for those teams. It's down to the top 2. It's ENCE. We knew it was going to be ENCE eventually. As they now spread out, they have perfect. I mean, no matter where this circle goes, it feels like they've got priority. Yeah, you'll see it pop, and now the little ridge, the little valley that Damwon has to work with, it's starting to go away, but it's still in.
I mean, realistically, if they could get just a pressure knock here on, ideally they'd want it somewhere on the west side of the circle so they can wrap. They're still in it. I mean, I'm never going to count out Damwon. At the same time, ENCE has such a good position, and they've also been really split well. They've been very conscious of the way that they're spreading out the space, and they're still playing for trades, even in this configuration, which I think is really impressive.
One of the things that ENCE might have a little bit more of than Damwon at this point of the game is utility. You can see boys on Damwon running pretty low on just about everything. 1 frag grenade left in the pocket of Under. You got about 2 smokes and a molly, I think, in the entire lineup of Damwon. Meanwhile, ENCE, nobody's gotten close enough to him for him to need any utility just yet. So, see, Diggory still holding that far angled. Nice shots from Rustin Mar. That's going to spot Kale out. We'll see if ENCE tries to wrap on this as well. They should. Yes, they are. They're making the moves. They want to make sure that this res does not come through. Kale will get flushed out by the nicely placed grenade from Tixu, and now it is just down to Under and Indigo. Crazier things have happened, Godspeed.
I mean, Under and Indigo, man, these guys are monsters, and watching them play just so far has been an absolute treat. At the same time, I mean, as good as they are, I feel like the way ENCE is playing this, and they're slowly setting a stranglehold here, it's going to be very difficult. But if there's any 2 players, Indigo and Under are definitely going to be those 2 players. And they just, ENCE have done such a good job of cutting the circle off.
They've got them pinned with their backs up against the wall. About as well as you could hope. But the terrain provide them with a little bit. Diggory, I think it's spotted out by Under there, and I think he realizes it. Throw the smoke down. Don't want to take that risk of getting knocked here. You don't want to. The last thing you want to do is turn this into a series of 1v1s. We've seen that happen before, and we've seen it work out in the favor of the solo. Looking back at, I think that was LG Divine and Buriram, but ENCE definitely playing their cards close to the vest. They've got all the time in the world. They do not need to force this. They can wait and force Damwon to be in a bad position here.
And I mean, you even see that. That's why Diggory kind of sat down there, was willing to burn a smoke there for utility just for cover, because he's holding that very important off angle. And he's, again, ENCE is just cutting off really any approach that Damwon would want to make. And this is really skillful to watch. At the same time, I think Damwon is really, these little micro movements here to left and right, they're just looking for any opening, and ENCE is just not giving them anything.
Not over peaking, not over committing. Just waiting for the right time here. Under seems to be the action man. Keeps going low, going high, seeing if he can find anything, while Indigo looks like he was the anchor man, holding to make sure nobody pushed onto him or wrapped onto him from the bad spot here. Squeaky, though, gonna come in from a nice little angle on the northern side. Gonna force him back down the hill. Looks like we've gone back to what we were.
Yep. I mean, and again, and obviously Damwon is smart enough, the two members are smart enough to realize this. They know that they really don't have any plays, so it's either get a very aggressive knock, or it would be, use smokes and utility, but they don't have any. They've pretty much used everything on the 6 prior kills, as well as the multiple fights they've had before. So I think this is just kind of a matter of time for ENCE.
It's really starting to feel that way as the time ticks down. Every second that passes is another second in favor.
Is that
of
a
an
fresh
win.
crate, Poro? Or was that the crate we saw the Om come from earlier?
It's not showing up on the map, so I'm guessing it's already been plucked. It might have been plucked actually by Under here, as he's sitting on the level 3 gear. Around,
true.
Spotting with the SLR. Cannot see anything just yet, but the dot has appeared, and it's just right north of where Diggory is right now. So here comes the play.
Under
gonna go.
in
Oh,
the
he's gonna spot out
open.
Rustamar, gets him down to about half HP. That's gonna be enough though. As he starts pushing forward a little bit more, Diggory gonna have to pull back. Actually, no, I'm sorry. Rustamar gonna pull back and join Diggory. Is Under.
Wait a second.
On the slow side, Indigo gets spotted out. It's down to just Under. He's gonna find one. No. Well played by ENCE. It seemed like it was just a matter of time, and the boys slowly just choked the life out of Damwon and the entire lobby.
Yeah, I mean, it was just really masterfully played, and I really also respect the fact that Damwon was trying to make moves, but ENCE was just cutting off so much of that circle and really offering them no plays. I mean, even with the little bit of damage that I believe Under got off just at the end there, it just wasn't enough, and because of that, ENCE held the north the entire time, and they got their frags, and yeah, I mean, that was just a very clean game coming out from ENCE.
They get a little bit fortunate. I mean, look, hey, it was fortunate that they held that north side, but it's more fortunate that nobody else decided to wrap to the north there. Strangely enough, everybody kind of went towards the middle part. Like nobody, I guess everybody was thinking it was just going to center up or something. But ENCE, I mean, they were all alone. I mean, there was nobody.
They were for a while. No,
kilometers.
they absolutely were for a while. And honestly, we saw most of the congestion up in the south. That's because we had some really weird shifts at the end. I mean, the first shift went really hard east, and then it kept pulling north, and so all the teams got trapped fighting each other. But I mean, overall, I think, yeah, ENCE, for whatever reason, was just completely alone in the top. I think they got 5 kills before they even got to that end game, or at least 3 or 4 kills, and they just controlled it the whole time. So, I mean, that's just the way it is, I guess. Sometimes you just get left alone up top.
Sometimes it be that way. Well, let's see what the desk has to say about this one, guys. Take it away.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Yes, indeed. Easy for ENCE is what the fans will be singing at home as they do pick up the first chicken dinner of the day, and more importantly, of the seeding. Granted, there's got to be a little bit of a... There has to be something in the back of mind, like, why couldn't this happen last week? Why couldn't we just be playing later on today rather than... You know, that there has to be that little... Steve mentioned it in the side chat. I'm like, yeah, you could have been playing later on. But nevertheless, look, they're chasing 17th place. It's going to do wonders, absolute wonders for your enthusiasm going forward through this competition. It's never great being down in these seeding portions, but I suppose just kind of really quickly bigger picture. doing it now and being down there and being able to work your way back up, again, the money will scale over time. So as long as you can claw yourself out and get to those big money brackets down the line, that's what it's all about. We'll give a quick recap of the standings, see how things are. Again, 18 points, top of the board. Top of the shop, Clinton, LG Divine, down 1 Kia. We're seeing Booram up there. Some of these big teams that we were hoping to do well, they're performing, and they're starting to, the prophecy of getting back into that weekly survival.
Yeah, for LG Divine, just some good timings on some of their movements, some good grenades, some good shooting from June in particular, really catapult them some extra points compared to some of the teams that finished ahead of them in the standings. Damwon Kia for them, this is more what I'm used to seeing from Damwon Kia in their play style. It's kind of, maybe you spread out a little bit early, but then you group up as 4 around phase, 3 or 4, depending on the circle, get towards the middle of the circle and work together from there. And that's really what has driven them to success through a lot of 2020, with the Asia meta being a little bit more center circle oriented, with the barrel prevalence particular was a big reason for that. So for them, I think it is much more in line with their playstyle that I'm used to seeing.
Cameron, when we look towards Zence's position towards the end, and you made a quick note of it, the circle, it was pretty favorable to them, but they absolutely capitalized on that with how they spread. But more importantly, at one point, we saw basically 4 teams just smashing the living hell out of each other down to the south, while Ence just kind of watched it all unfold.
Yeah, this was a really weird circle for the majority of the teams to play around. We saw that first circle swing below Los Leones, and then it sort of doubled up towards the southeast side after that point. And the rocks around that area make for very, very difficult transitions. They're a really nice place to hide in. To hide in. I don't know why we made that plural. We saw Detonation Gaming actually find a really nice opportunity onto Zenith because of the way that the rocks were moving and stuff. And that's where we saw a lot of fighting within that moment. But it did mean that once there was a shift towards the north, a northern area that was already relatively empty, Ents had so much room to play with. And when you're it's like they're hungry individuals at a buffet. They're not going to say no. They're going to go down the line, add more and more onto their own plate. Like, the Ents are going to go and take, oh, we can take this rock, we can take this tree. We're absolutely going to spread out and do it. They weren't going to be passive and group up and just try and hide into one single little corner. They took all the map control that they had, and even though they weren't involved in the majority of the fights throughout the mid game in the same way that like Divine and Kia were, they were able to get the win as well as clean up a nice number of kills for them as well. So very, very well played on their end, capitalizing on the opportunity that the other teams gave them in a way.
Hiding and making a meal of it. There's a couple of words I want to kind of pick out there because, like, MCG, Clinton, what in the world were they thinking to not only, like, push a fight, like literally pushing a fight, but for no ground whatsoever. It's like, I don't get the idea behind it. It ultimately, it caused them to lose all their players near enough. And you've got one player then, even lead towards the end, just holding on, trying to pick up some points towards the top 10. But why would you even bother pushing a fight in the mines?
Well, I mean, historically, the mines have been kind of a last resort for teams, right? You're not going in the mines unless the circle forces you into their like late game, typically, is what you see. But here we're seeing Meta go into it early, and then MCG follow suit. Now, I don't know if MCG's idea was that they could take a fight and win in there, or that they thought it might be open, like they didn't scout that Meta's in there, and they're just trying to hide vehicles or something and do something cheeky where they're kind of outthinking themselves, and by trying to outthink everyone in the lobby by doing something that no one expects, right? That's the idea. Like, who goes into the mines? Like, nobody. I mean, yes, it is a nice place because you can hide your vehicles in there. It's one of the few spots in that part of the map where you can actually hide vehicles because of how open the terrain is and how many different sightlines you can gather. Yes, as one individual player, you can move around and hide yourself pretty well with the way the terrain works, but vehicles are static. Eventually, somebody's going to find a way to take those tires out. So if I'm going to give MCG the benefit of the doubt, I guess, the thinking is hide vehicles, maybe do something unexpected. At the end of the day, still not a good idea in my opinion.
Yeah, it was a questionable play to say the least, but nevertheless, it's we'll see how it does fare. MCG again. We are keeping eyes on them because of what they've been held to as an accountable standard previously coming into this competition, but most importantly because they were the dead last 30-second team. They did not get to perform last week. They did not get to play whatsoever throughout the qualifiers. Now they are back in this one, trying to play off a seeding again, and same scenario, same principle. You have to avoid 30-second. If you somehow got 30-second back-to-back, like the knock-on effect would be just catastrophic. And honestly, we know that China does hold its teams to a high standard, and more importantly, the fan base and stuff. The social outbreak it'll happen. You know, social media, we know how big it can be, and we know how some of these players are just held accountable. So we'll see how it goes. It's only game one. It could just be a once-off. It was a bit of a questionable play. We'll kind of leave it at that, and we'll move on. We'll talk about some of the bigger picture. I suppose towards the end of that, Cammy, they really could have been maybe much more teams towards the final end game, but it was, again, with the circles, how it just funneled everyone together at one point, where you have, I think it was LG Divine, Detonation, Damwon, and Tiamba, all just essentially making NC's life easier.
It really was, and I think part of it is the difficulty crossing that road. In fact, you saw Tiamba leave that warehouse. They went one by one because of how risky that cross was. If they there's the risk if they send all four at once, they would run into a trap that would be incredibly difficult to scout out. So instead, they just had to go slowly and timidly, and because of that, well, they weren't the only teams that felt that way about that terrain, about that area, and so they really were all sort of funneled in. And I was noticing towards the end, though, that the only thing that really could have stopped ENCE from taking as much land as they did at the end game is Damwon Kia actually wrapping up towards the right, letting those teams fight it out below them, and they can pick up the scraps. But for a team that had been so dominant in their edge fragging the previous weekend, and for a team that I imagine is very disappointed with their own performance during the weekly survival, I am not surprised to have seen them go for the super aggressive, high risk, high reward plays, and I do think it ultimately paid off for Kia.
Right, rock and roll game number 2 is locked and loaded and ready to go. Presented by Intel. I'm very proudly going to pass this one over to Porosaurus and Godspeed. Once again, rock and roll, let's get it.
I love rock and roll. I love getting it.
Rock and roll's
Let's
good.
do that.
Ooh.
I'm down with it.
Okay.
I'm not down with that plane path. That plane path is garbage. But you know what? That's what we've got to deal with, my friend.
I mean, I wouldn't mind this plane path too much, but it is really awful for most teams that want to come north.
Yeah, well, I mean, when you were a young Chuma lad, so this
I was
is
a
perfect for
Chuma
you.
lad. Yeah. But for everyone else, this is not that great. And to be completely honest, depending on the teams, especially wanting to go a little more north, we may see them. Wait a second. Never mind. I thought we may potentially see another run down here between Gex as well as DXG, and it looks like, I mean, it looks like this is the same.
I guess they're sending it. Why the heck not? Worked out
Wait,
so well the first time.
Digital-
Let's go for it again.
Are you trading
See,
digital
I was
athletics as
looking
well?
at-
Getting a little close. Yeah, what's going
Yeah,
on here,
looking at-
Poro?
Look at Picado. Well, so this is kind of one of those things that happens when you see a plane that goes hard in any one particular direction, right? So you have that possibility that you'll see teams dropping at the same spot as far as they can, trying to go for vehicles. This time it looks like MCG just gonna go ahead and leave Zenith Picado. That's a weird. I mean, that's why you see all these teams kind of filing right near each other. They're used to esports spawns. They're looking for vehicles, looking for something. It looks like it's going to be DXG and Gex again, scrapping back and forth and nothing the Wavo. But we get another nasty circle. I don't know if you guys got a chance to see that all the way down to the southeast. A lot of water involved, 50% roughly. So it is going to be some rough sledding here. It looks like DXG going to take the high ground here. Gex going to take low, and that's at least going to slow things down for the time being, as this is something that you could pretty easily split, right? You know, you don't necessarily have to get involved here.
You can, like, DXG could potentially just go to the south and have two people loot the compound to the south. There's a decent amount of loot up there, but you'll definitely need more than that, especially for a duo if they're looting up top. Obviously, the lion's share of that went to DXG. So regardless, this circle is just really toxic as well, because a lot of these teams, although there's a good majority of them in the circle already, there, as you said, 50% of this is cut off by water. And that is going to make not only pretty much just the entire edge all the way from the west back to the north kind of a hellhole, to be honest, for these guys to try to navigate through. There's going to be a lot of teams looking to get in, teams that are going to be caught off probably scouting, and it's going to be a bloodbath, Poro, I promise.
It ain't great. Well, while we're waiting on everybody to get their looting done, get their rotations done. We got a few public service announcements for you. First one being that we have a second set of games scheduled for today, which hopefully everybody knows about, the first day of our weekly finals. And
The big
in
one.
order to make sure that we get everybody into the stadium, everything set up, everything cleaned up, there is a chance, a possibility that we may cut these games short as far as broadcast, and the fourth game would be played off stream. We're still waiting to see what happens. We're trying to get them done as quickly as possible, get through them as fast as we can. But that is a possibility that could happen, and we just want to make you guys aware of that. Second thing, I want to let you guys know there are no codes for these games right now. However, there will be codes given away in the second set of grand finals games. Those are going to be your codes that are going to be worth 1K EP apiece. So make sure you tune in for those. And still make sure you watch these games, because obviously it's exciting stuff, Godspeed. We love to watch these, right?
It's very exciting stuff.
Metacrash
Again,
on a Tiamba.
we absolutely love to see it. We saw some shots go out earlier onto one of the members there of Tiamba. I believe it was Lin Shun that took some damage. But now this is a waiting game. And as you see, Buriram is kind of just licking their lips off to the side. Hey, what's going on over here?
Edie wants a piece of this so bad.
Yeah,
he wants it so bad.
Oh, he's taking tires.
He wants it so bad, he's taking tires out. I love it. Absolutely love it.
I mean, the only...
Mirage are going to get involved too.
Yeah, oh, looks like Mings is going to find Sparking and now going for shots. Can he find them? No, he's not.
That's dirty little
Just like that,
reposition
Meta's
by
gone.
Mings.
Meta is gone.
Yeah.
Wait, no. Wick.
Still got. I mean, Wicked's still alive. He doesn't have a vehicle, I don't think. So this is basically them saying, "Hey, buddy, see if you can maybe get some points off of this, but we're gonna dip on this if that's cool with you." And Wicked, not unaccustomed to playing by himself. He made quite a name for himself for his solo plays in Korea in the past year or so. We'll see what he does. DA, meanwhile, going to run into the backside of Dangshay.
Speaking of solo plays, the amount of vehicle kills or just plays I've seen so far in this event has been out of control. I mean,
I gotta be real with you, man. I thought it was gonna be worse. I thought we were gonna see the Mad Max meta, everybody going and just seat swapping on everybody, but it seems like anytime somebody tries to do it, they just get plucked out of that thing within a matter of seconds.
Yeah. There's been a few instances.
It's absolutely insane.
The Genji send over it was actually on this map on the north side of Crater Fields comes to mind. But Wick 2D just graduated to 3D, gonna find himself a frag.
You and Pansy,
Wicked, it's Wicked.
It's
Wicked. Okay, listen.
The 2 is just throwing you off. I know.
It's
I
Wick
understand.
2D. What a play, though. He's gonna get one flush. Obviously, Tiamba knows that he is now here. M200 looking for him, but he's actually playing aggressive on this. I like this. That I don't like.
14 rounds in the AK. Let's go. Doesn't even have enough for 25 gliders on the dresser. Oh my God! Did he do it to him again?
He finds it. That's 2. As you were
Are
saying.
you kidding me?
Wicked is just not afraid to play by himself, and now that's kind of a call to the rest of Meta to potentially get a little closer here.
Yeah, they're like, hold up, wait a second. This guy, this Korean guy that we picked up for our squad, actually pretty good. He's actually pretty good.
This Wick 2D guy is pretty decent.
I swear to God,
no, honestly,
get me with this.
I know. I'm sorry. That was an honestly impressive play, though, coming out from Meta and Wicked. Yeah, with 14 bullets as well. AK.
That's the nutty part, right? When you look at big tournaments like this, big international tournaments, when it's the biggest game, when so much is on the line, the biggest difference makers are going to be those individual plays that just the players that step up when the time calls for it and are able to pull off something magical. And that is going to be the difference between those who finished at the very top of the leaderboard and those at the bottom of the leaderboard, is those big individual plays. Wicked showing that he is more than capable right there of being a little bit of a shotgun rider there for Sparking, who we all know is capable of pulling off some of those plays as well.
Oh yeah, and if we actually just take a look at the map real quick, Poro, we actually see that DXG and Gex ended up splitting completely. They did not fight again this time,
Good play.
and it looks like the rotation coming down from DXG here. Yeah, Division X all the way on the south actually. So this should be a good rotation for them, to be completely honest. They're going to avoid most of the kind of jam that's going to happen just to the northwest of Leonis when you get outside of it. And they should get a decent sight into the circle here. We'll see. Gex, in the meanwhile, they're coming into a completely free Leonis. There is nobody in the city.
Yeah, nobody anticipated. I guess everybody's thinking this thing is just gonna hang towards the coast. Nobody taking up any even edge positions in Los Leones. I mean, the closest being T1, playing the cliffs just off to the southeast of the city. But other than that, that's about it. Meanwhile, check on Divine sneaking in from the northwest side of the circle just by La Bendita Crater. Nobody really near them except for maybe MCG, who's taking a few shots from Zenith. Petrichor Road, also wide split, trying to gain as much information as they can. Looks like they spotted out DA, and they've got a T1 issue to deal with as well.
Little bit. Petrichor is honestly, even though they're in this lobby, they've been so fun to watch, so aggressive. Sometimes it hasn't always worked out in their favor, but man, are they entertaining to watch. The other thing I'm curious about with this map and seeing Leonis so empty is one of the games earlier at the start of the event, we did kind of have a Leonis circle, and most of the teams in Leonis actually got cannibalized. So I'm wondering if some of these teams had kind of learned from that and decided they want to avoid it altogether, because Leonis can be a very claustrophobic, especially if it's a city ending. But looks like it doesn't even matter. Nothing I said matters because we are going hard northeast. So much
take
water
that
still.
all day. Yeah, that's all. Still a good percentage of water there, but Ints have their compound not as lonely as they were in the last game, game 1, but they have a nice compound center circle. Nobody really to threaten them for the time being. Meanwhile, DA looks like they're going to go through the gauntlet, trying to make it through Petrichor. Mills got a little bit of an oversight here. If he can find a line of sight, he might be able to get some shots in. Does. Mert gets knocked to about half HP from Gray. Can Gray finish it off? Oh my God, he runs out of bullets. Mert.
Oh,
you got a lucky rabbit's
so
foot hanging around your neck, my dude.
Yeah, definitely on the rear view mirror there. Team 1 rotating as well. I really want to see something from Multi-Circle, man. Please. These guys have really struggled so far this event, and I don't know why. I mean, they're one of the most dominant teams in Asia.
Yeah, it's been a slow start, but we're here for that's why we're here for 2 months, man. It's you got plenty of time to ramp up.
Big true. And I think again, a lot of that is
Please. There we go.
That is unfortunate for Mamu.
Feels super scout, man. Sometimes you just pull up at the wrong spot to do your scouting. Gray, meanwhile, going to send some shots back over. As Ikeslef going to find himself in the middle of no man's land, but he wins the 1v1 with Code Marco. Able to pull away just in time, too, because the grenades were coming.
Yeah, he was definitely looking ready to get knocked there. And Code Marco, the one going down, also another phenomenal player to watch. Oh, that grenade!
I love it.
This is what you asked.
Drive-by grenading. Oh,
nice shots from
oh
Gray.
my God.
Oh man, digital athletics is just struggling so far.
This is
what a
rough, man.
Gray.
Smash gets picked right out of the driver's seat. Metralius is going to stay alive for the time being, but this is now 2 games in a row where DA finds themselves in an early game fight, and they're down to 1. Can they at least keep the 1 alive? No, sir.
Wow.
Mike's left going to finish that one off, and Yanli taking some shots over in that direction as well. Doesn't look like he's going to get anything into the Petrichor boys, but Petrichor loses 2 there. But DA, again, 16th place, man. Rough stuff.
And DA, it's really rough for DA, but again, Wicked picking up another frag. That's now 3 to him, and this time on the team here of DXG. And so, man, Wicked is super impressive. I just don't really know what else to say.
And you look at your mini map. Look at, I mean, he pushed that on foot by himself,
solo.
I mean, the rest of
without his
rest of the squad not even there. So that is big boy stuff coming out from Wicked. not Wick 2D.
No, not
Wick
Wick 2D.
3D.
Definitely. Yep, correct.
Wicked.
Correct. Now
Okay.
this circle here, Poro. Let me talk to you about the circle real quick. So
Tell me about this, dude.
there is a lot of open ground on this circle as we see kind of the area that T1 and Starlord is traversing there. There's actually more cover here than it looks to be because of how open it is. However, the issue is that the edges get incredibly crowded, especially when it centers up like that. So really, there's not a lot to play off on the edge, but it is going to get very condensed here. Yep.
They don't want it. They don't want it.
No.
Okay.
They don't
All
want
right. Good stuff from Ents there. They just a hair behind on the push, and they were about. Oh no! And now Meta says we don't care. We'll push it. Sure, why not? Ragnar goes down. Wicked. See if he can maybe do some clutch work here. Keep it going. Silzen has the low ground. The grenade. Squeaky gonna finish off Ragnar. There is trying to figure out where Silzen is in all of this. You see where Wicked is. Okay, there's Silzen just off to the side. Trying to see if we can do anything. Oh no,
wow,
absolutely destroyed. Grenade does do some damage, and now Silzen, it's all on you. And it looks like it does not look like Silzen wants any part of this.
No.
He's just gonna go ahead
Silzen's
and
out of
try
there.
to survive.
Meanwhile, Petrichor is still finding some flags.
Yeah, they're finding themselves in a fight yet again. Oh no. CC gonna get him from range here. MBK try to throw the grenade. Is that close enough? Yes.
Oh. Yes. So good.
Good night. Good night, sweet prince. Should be able to get that res off. And Tiamba does look like they're creeping down towards the south, looking over in that direction, but we'll see what happens. Wicked does get finished off. Ents, they don't have the compound they originally wanted, but they've got a decent compound, right? Just to south of the center of the circle. Enter Force 36, meanwhile, making their way from the road. Looks like they're going to be trading back and forth with MCG. No third party coming just yet, but Detonation Gaming White could make their way up from the west at any time here.
Yeah, and this is exactly what I was talking about earlier. There are areas to play, even though it's incredibly open, there are areas to play. However, that is also very dependent on the angles of where other teams are set up, because it is essentially just a giant bowl. So
yeah,
it's open. There's places to play, but it's not that great.
It's is it good enough to keep you obviously protected from range, but can you also prevent any teams from crashing or pushing up onto you and getting within grenade range? And that is the struggle right there. As we see, looks like Lorena has got himself a partner in Mings as they want to come and wrap around the southern side, take care of Long K and MBK, and clear up this entire south side for themselves. Now, this is just the duo from Tiamba. So you can see they're still playing aggressively now that they're down to 2. And not sure don't know if they've been spotted by Long K or what here, but it looks like they've gotten spotted by a CC from Gex as a few shots coming from range.
And that circle shift is actually very telling for Tiamba if they want to make a move here, because they have a decent amount of room to work with here. They just need to get there early and set up before it becomes an issue. And obviously DXG is a big thorn in their side, but at least it is a 2v2. Meanwhile, Multi-Circle Gaming is going to get a knock res here after they trade out and take out Sylphia from Enterforce.
This is good stuff from MCG. They're holding E36 back long enough now to where it looks like Divine is going to be wrapping around from the north side, maybe push E36 out. They're still playing around that edge of the circle. MCG just holding down those dips for a while now. Meanwhile, back down to the south, DXG back to scrapping with Tiamba. This one, just a game of chess between two duos. Mings has the high ground.
Well,
Going to flash himself there, unfortunately.
Yeah, that could have been a really good flash, but I really like the position here that Mings has, having the high ground here. Nice nade. Going right on to NBK. Now let's see if he can finish it off. But Long K is also in a position where he can support. So this is two duos playing at a really high level. I mean, they're playing for trades. They're using utility. Realistically, I think Tiamba has the advantage here, but we'll see what happens.
DXG doing a good job of using that low ground to keep wrapping around and see if they can reposition once they've been spotted out by Tiamba and keep changing it up. This time, Lorena going to peek over the top. He's going to lose that battle along K, and that's well played by DXG.
That was absolutely beautiful. The way that they also peaked at different intervals. I mean, that was just, yeah, that was perfect. Well done.
Use that low ground to constantly be on the move, constantly reposition, peak from a place that they're not expecting you to peak from, and that is what they did. And they take out Tiamba, one of the best teams in the world there. As we cut over to Day Trade, who's trying to engage in a fight with T1 here. T1 a little bit more split, as Day Trade, you can see, is kind of slowly pushing up here. Aqua 5 going to be holding the anchor spot, while Adder and Dangshay try to reposition, trying to come from angle. Star-Lord in a compound just off to the distance. This might be a little rough for T1 here. They might be losing Adder very short. Or
This is actually
Aqua.
Yeah, but this is also a very telling fight because essentially who wins this gets control of the high ground on the east side. You have ENCE, kind of sitting there center, and then you also have DGW, Detonation Gaming White, who's just sitting in that big compound. They could potentially get poured over on the winner of that team. So we'll pay attention to that. We'll see if Day Trade pulls off or T1 pushes. Meanwhile, Oro, LG Divine now having to fight off the remainder 3 members of 36.
This is the fight we were expecting up there on the northeastern side. Satu going to get the first knock there, and look at Zenith. They're starting to wrap in from the backside to see if they can make a third party onto this. So this fight is going to be very, very violent, very, very quickly. E36 down by 2. LG Divine down by 2. It's down to just Amanat. You see he is trying to survive. Zenith.
And Zenith?
And look at the kills they're stealing off of this perfectly timed third party. As MCG, it looks like, is trying to creep out there as well, and they're getting picked off.
And that's
a little bit here.
Wow. LG Divine, that was really good timing from Zenith to come in and third party that. Obviously, Kickstart now taking some damage. They took some damage in that effort, but they got some kills out of it. Looks like Sato is going to be able to get rezzed here. And I'm really impressed with that fight coming off of E36, to be honest.
Oof.
Oh, Zenith.
Oh.
They're in trouble now.
Satu gets the res onto Amanat, so E36 back up to 2 strong, and they're going to make Zenith suffer a little bit there with a good knock from range. As Zenith now starting to slowly get picked apart, as Buriram has started to make their way down or wrap around on this northern side. So they can clear something out. Looks like they're just interested in third party, and they're going to find them too, as Poonage and Roth both down. It's now just Shinboy and Kickstar, but it looks like a little bit of a reprieve here for Zenith, as the rest of the Buriram boys are just going to wrap back to their previous location.
And this is a good wrap back here. The issue is, again, is they're going to be able to look down into the bowl and see the teams in front of them. It's just the terrain that they're going to have to navigate is going to be rough. But, I mean, they do have options. Meanwhile, here, looking on the east side, Day Trade and T1 ended up not fighting, and now we're going to see an even bigger crunch. And this is that fight for dominance on the east I was talking about. And T1 is actually getting in front. This is huge.
This is absolutely huge. They managed to get 3 in the vehicle. Star-Lord stays alive for right now. Aqua 5 bringing up the rear, as Day Trade looks like they are still just kind of working the cliffside here. They're going to take a few shots over that way from ENCE. And Detonation Gaming White also making their way out of the compound. But as you said, T1 has gotten there first. We'll see if they can do anything with it here, as MCG is starting to wrap down in that direction as well. There's just
so
big
going on.
Big fight going on in the northeast here. It's absolutely bananas right now. MCG, they're going to find, looks like they'll take out Amanat, so that'll be it for E36. Meanwhile, Gex will finish off Zenith as they try to make their way in. Looks like MCG, knock there. 2 up still, as Detonation Gaming White are a little bit split focus. They got C's pushing down towards Day Trade and T1. The other 2 pushing north here to try to deal with MCG. So a little bit of split decision coming out from Detonation Gaming as they try to maybe take out Day Trade. T1, meanwhile, have not really gotten a chance to get involved here because they keep having to stop to res their knocks.
If Detonation Gaming White can hold, though, that would be absolutely ridiculous, because the position they would get off the northwest, it would be really staggering. The issue is there's so many teams, as you pointed out earlier, that are fighting for this, and their split focus may actually come back to bite them, as that's it for T1. Day Trade has taken out T1, and now they've set their sights on DGW.
Oh, boy, they're going to find Steve's first.
So much aggression from Vanonica.
Perfectly played. Meanwhile, the other half of, oh no, the one grenade from Evil Lee will put him in the dirt, and that's MCG 3 up. Now, Daytrade still continuing this wrap around. All of this going on outside of circle, though, so they're going to have to figure out how they want to approach this. Do you take this fight with MCG, or do you try to find a better spot? There's not really any better way to get inside the circle for them that isn't like directly under the vision of ENCE. So this is pretty much the only move Daytrade really has.
Yeah, they have to make this push. They have nowhere else to go. You're absolutely correct. And the issue is even if they win this fight, their consolidation, their prize is to face off either against Damwon holding them or ENCE holding them. This is really pick your poison. At the very least, they will need these points from MCG if they can get them. 6 already, 6 kills.
Looks like they're going to go for the push right off the flash. Going to find one, going to find two. Oh, nicely done by Venotica. This kid is bananas, and I think a lot of people are starting to realize it as Venotica and the rest of Daytrade will get their 4 into the east side of the circle. But as he said, it's kind of out of the frying pan into the fire, as they are still kind of under the purview of Damwon and ENCE, who are still holding those compounds. Gex, for their part, meanwhile, been hanging around on this western side, been taking care of business. They have to find somewhere new to hang out, though, because this is outside of circle. Buriram, just off the north, is getting the most of their attention right now.
Oh! There goes. It doesn't even matter what helmet that was. It's gone. Godmao is now in need of another helmet, as well as getting picked up off his knees. What a shot from CC.
Put him in the ground, baby. Yan Li and Ma Ye still holding the high ground outside of circle. They're going to have to make their way down to their teammates here eventually. They do have a couple of solos there to worry about. Long K and MBK from DXG, remember them? They're still hanging out just on this southern side of the circle, and Malier is running right into them. I don't think they have any idea that these two snakes are there.
Oh, and he snuck in. Long K. Oh, the turn!
Get read like a book. Malier putting that man in his place, and it's now just down to MBK staying alive. We wait and see where this next circle decides to take us. Who's it going to favor? Is it going to be ENCE? Is it going to be Kia? Is it going to be Gex? Let's give it to Gex and ENCE. Kia.
Gex.
Oh, no.
Damwon now have to deal with Daytrade on the outskirts there to the east, as well as the last 2 members of Buriram on the west. Meanwhile, Gex and ENCE just get to sit back and enjoy the show and really just kind of pick off whatever kills they can. And this is going to be a rough push. I mean, Daytrade does have the option for of wrapping super east and coming up off the side of the compound that Ensign is, but even that's not great.
It's not great at all. And they've, ENCE, I think, already kind of reading that. They've sent Rustenmar out to do a little bit of sightseeing, make sure that they don't continue that wrap down, as you said. But, man, Daytrade, they've put up big numbers already. No matter what happens from this point on, it's going to be a decent game for them. Hopefully, they can maybe pull something together here, some kind of magic. I mean, pretty much the only thing you can really do is maybe hope for a vehicle, maybe try to crash ENCE as ENCE is, you know, obviously in a compound with multiple. It's nothing.
They're so ready for it, though, Poro. I mean, just look at them. You can see all of them have their, aside from, I think, Diggory, who's maybe watching off angles, but even then, I mean, they're all just looking over this way. And yeah, Daytrade, I don't really know what option they have. They have to push with smokes. They're trying, but I mean, even Damwon is a problem for them now.
Would it look just based off of looking at them and how they're positioned and what they're trying to do? I feel like they're trying to pick off kills from Damwon, and they realize. Yeah, I think they realize the game is up, and they're just trying to get whatever more points they can before they inevitably go down. CC still taking some shots over there with that big boy on as ENCE pushes into what left of Buriram, or I'm sorry, Damwon pushing into what's left of Buriram. What a nade from CC, and another one follows it up, and Gex coming in huge. We'll find him. Buriram will clean it up as Edie's still alive somehow, some way, is avoiding the line of sight from the Gex boys. But what a grenade from CC.
Out of control. Global Esports exit has been unreal so far this game. They've just really been moving everyone around them. They've been a problem for even teams rotating in their vicinity. Gex has been holding, and that AWM has done so much damage, but I do love this from ENCE. This wrap you're talking about is huge. If they can clear this out, and they essentially have the circle, the center for the next one, it's just NBK. If they can get rid of him, ENCE has all the room in the world.
And they know, they are well aware that he's here, but look at this. They're pulling away from it. Okay, they're just going to leave NBK to his own devices for right now. The new circle has popped, and it looks like it goes over to ENCE. So they're like, you know what? We don't need to do this. Let's just go back to our compound. Chill, vibe. Let's go for a second win. Let's go for 2 in a row. Why not?
Yeah, and it's huge. Obviously, a second win would catapult him. And again, for the reseeding, it's very important to be that first in line, so to speak. And that is looking what ENCE is trying to do here. And they may succeed, but I'm still not going to count anyone out yet. Gex has been playing rather ridiculously so far.
Yeah, play for 3 days trying to get a win. They could never find it. Now they're about to queue up for 2 in a row. Got to be a kick in the pants there if you're an ENCE fan. You're like,
yeah, it's a little frustrating.
Couldn't have done this a little bit ago, but oh well. You know what? It is what it is. So we'll see what they can pull off here. Gex though, CC is on 1 right now. We'll see if he can continue this champagne campaign throughout this. They do have to worry about Edie in the backside there. CC also gets knocked a little bit low. Edie yet to strike just yet. They also have the solo of MBK. That's just off to the south side as well. So the problem here for ENCE is that they are they're pushed right up against the wall, which is basically what they did last game. If Gex can play this right, they might be able to take advantage of ENCE here.
I think it's really just, it's up to NBK and Edie. I mean, they can ruin this completely. I mean, look at this. CC has no idea that his life is not even in his own hands.
Oh,
what? You can't.
CC.
Are you kidding me? No.
My man just 360 no scope a blade of grass. What the hell was that, CC?
I refuse. That's ridiculous. That is absolutely ridiculous. What a shot. And that just leaves MBK now. And all of a sudden, a situation that I thought might be hopeless. If he can make it, that's huge. That's actually huge. That off angle is massive. Can he survive? Do they have the utility?
Oh, that's a terrible. Okay, first Molly was bad. Diggory gonna make up for it with the next grenade. But look at this. MBK could serve as the snake here that gets in the way for ENCE. Gex gonna try to push up here. MBK, there you go. You're gonna find Diggory. You're gonna get the flush as well. Does he see? Tixu spots him out. Tixu goes to low though. Get trade. Leo gonna take it as now it's down to a 2v2. Squeaky and Rustamar. They're gonna trade. Find one. There he goes. One left up for Gex here, hiding in the smoke. It's gonna be Leo. Can he survive? 10 kills on the board for Gex as he works around the smoke line. The smoke is going away. You can see it just in the distance there. Oh, he gets. Can he win it? No, Rustamar.
Wow.
Clutches it out in a 2-piece for ENCE.
What an absolutely absurdly exciting ending at the end. And it all started because of that play that was made to try to get to that tractor so that Gex had any sort of presence on the other side on an off angle, and it literally shifted almost all events. They lost to Gex, tried to capitalize, but NBK as well, and still was able in the end to hold their position. But man, what a hell of an ending, Poro.
Holy. What more could you want from an endgame there? Gex looking like absolute world beaters. They're showing why they deserve to be in this competition in the first place. But again, ENCE, 2 back-to-back wins after struggling to try to find one in the previous week. It's got to feel a little bittersweet, but you know what? You got to shake it off. Last week is last week. This week is this week, and ENCE is looking damn good.
And it really, exactly, and it really goes back to what you're talking about, Poro, that this is a long endeavor. This isn't just, you know, a 1 or 2 week tournament. We're going to be here for a while, and so I think it's very important for them to get this win, to find the confidence that they want. And starting out with 2 wins in a lobby that arguably they shouldn't have even been in is it's a hell of a way to start, let me tell you.
Well, we still got 2 games left on the tablet today, so let's throw it over to the analyst desk to see what they have to say about this so we can get into our next game as quickly as possible. Go, go, go!
Thank you very much, Poro. Yes, indeed. Not so easy for ends towards the latter stages of that circle, but certainly a back-to-back win with 8 kills respectively, 36 points in 2 games. Now, Cammy, the circles weren't as favorable as the previous round. We saw that close engagement with Damwon at first, which kind of split the pack. Okay, well, we won't take that compound now. We're pushed to a different one. But ultimately, their positioning on the map was what kind of favored them towards the end game.
Yeah, and there's a reason why both Ents and Damwon Kia went for those areas in the middle of that field when there was a heavy chance that it's going to be a field ending. Any piece of cover that you can find, you're going to want to take. And it worked out, I think, for both squads. With mixed results. I think Kia found themselves in a situation they weren't exactly hoping for when they eventually left. I think they easily could have had a higher placement on the leaderboard, but as we saw throughout that entire match, Gex were on a rampage, and I am not surprised to see them all, not all of them, but a number of them on this top 5 kill listing, whereas Ents a little lower down because, let's be honest, they didn't have as difficult of a time staying safe inside of that building. While Gex on the time, they had 10 kills overall, 5 for Gauntly, 3 for CC. They were really making it work, which is great to see because this was a team that, they got 31st off the ranking decision. They didn't do much in their admittedly one game during weekly survival, but this is looking like a completely different team, not only from the results that we saw, but also even expectations coming into this tournament.
So from the top fraggers, it appears to be APAC kind of leading the way. Squeaky up there with both the damage and fragging prowess from Europe also, but still, it's Ents who solidify their seat at the top of the table after 2 games. For GEX, it comes from a 14th position into a second, but not only a second place with 10 kills to boot as well. So this now will probably put them in the second overall standings. So definitely a very nice rebound. I'm thinking, have we got another? I believe we've got another game that we're actually going to be going to very, very shortly. If not, we're going to take a very short break. When we come back, we can have a quick talk and breakdown of things further. For now, I believe we're going to take a break. I think I caught that NBA. It was rather quiet. Hopefully so. If not, we're going to continue. We'll find out.
Hello PUBG Esports fans. The PUBG Global Invitational.S, our biggest tournament yet, begins in February. With a tournament this big, there's a lot to take in. So let's take a look at the format and rules of PGI.S 2021. PGI.S's main event, the weekly series, will be held for a total of 6 weeks starting from February 8th. It is divided into the weekly survival taking place on weekdays and the weekly final held over the weekend. Unlike the previous global tournaments, points are not accumulated week over week, giving every team the same fighting chance each week. Weekly survival features 16 matches held across 3 weekdays. The goal for teams is simple: win a single chicken dinner. Once you win, you stop playing and move on to the weekly final. The next team on the waitlist takes your place and a new match begins. This list is determined by ranked decision matches to decide the order our 32 teams participate. These 24 deciding matches take place over 3 days starting from February 5th and will divide our teams into 4 different groups. The top 16 teams from these groups face off in the weekly survival matches first. The weekly final is more like the PUBG Esports you're used to. 10 matches are held across 2 days, and points the teams earn are added up to decide their final ranking for the week. The 16 teams that played in the weekly final get the first shot at next week's weekly survival, and the remaining 16 teams decide their placement on the waitlist during a bottom 16 match held every Saturday, before the weekly final. From there, the cycle continues throughout the tournament. One of the big differences with PGI.S is that instead of receiving prize money based on your final rank is determined by how much prize money you've won. We're awarding prize money every week, and the team who has collected the most at the end will be crowned our PGI.S champion. Here's how it breaks down. The first 8 teams to win a weekly survival match each week take home an automatic cash prize, earning more the sooner they win. From there, the winners of the weekly finals tournament get an even bigger cash prize. The first place prize being $25,000 on week 1, and growing to an astounding $500,000 by week 6, giving teams lots of opportunity to catch up and claim the title. Winning isn't the only way teams are earning cash, though. 30% of the total profit made from PGI.S item sales goes back to participating teams. This money will be distributed based on the percentage of money each team won in the tournament, with bigger rewards for the higher performing teams. So, not only do you get cool skins and voting coupons to earn even more cool skins, but you're also helping your favorite teams bring home more well-deserved prize money. Win-win! That about wraps up our overview of the PUBG Global Invitational.S. Initial ranking decisions happen on February 5th, and the first official matches kick off on February 8th. So be sure to tune in, pick your winners, and cheer on your favorite teams across 8 weeks of intense PUBG action.
Welcome back to the desk here for the PGI.S seedings for week number 2 going forward. The good news is we'll be reviewing and actually broadcasting the next 2 games going forward. Pretty exciting times. We've got 2 games of Erangel left, and for right now it's ENCE who are standing strong at the top of the table. Hot on their heels by a few of the teams. Again, we've touched on it ever so briefly, so we'll kind of recap before we do go forward. GEX, a very nice comeback mechanic, puts them up to 2nd place with 20 points. But I have to say, Clinton, even though it's only a 5th position, still down 1. Circle wasn't favorable to them. We touched on it ever so previously in the last game towards the end of it. They did split away, and it ended up being ENCE who was on the better side of that one. But still, consistency is looking quite good for this team across 2 games.
Yeah, they're doing, again, much more of what I saw through them through the greater part of 2020, where they like to dive center circle maybe around phase 3 or 4 and then try to make it work from there. Earlier on in the tournament, yeah, they had been going for a little bit more fragging, a little bit more edge play maybe, but here today it seems like they want to go back to maybe what they're more comfortable with. No, I think they could frag out, and I think in that particular compound, you got to be real careful with that one because, you keep sitting there going, well, it's not going to keep shifting south away from me, right? Like, this just can't keep happening because in that compound, if it keeps going south, that's the absolute worst possible way that circle can go. And it just kept going away because there's nothing but field underneath you, and a lot of teams have good sight lines into you. So for Damo and Kia, I think I'd like to see them maybe not put themselves in situations like that if they can avoid it. I get the idea. It's safe. You're going to get guaranteed position points. But, yeah, I don't know. I'll be curious to see how they can make this work the rest of the time because I think this team has a lot of potential in terms of their fragging ability, particularly with Under, who is the top damage dealer during the weekly qualifiers for a team that played all 16 games. I mean, he put up over 5,000 damage in 16 games. So I think the potential is definitely there.
I kind of want to turn attention here from the top of the table down to the bottom because it's kind of scary when I look at this table, Cammy, and I just see that the amount of talent that is down towards last place is it's incredible. Now, the unfortunate thing that I am seeing is slowly but surely we might see DA going from group stage of being the dream back to potentially being the meme. They're in 16th, last place overall, which if they stay there will give them 32nd, and they avoid week number 2 with only 1 point. This whole smash and grab play style, something needs to change, but you'd anticipate maybe now, because we're back to the esports rules, or the general rules setting, so to speak, that maybe that would pay off. But so far with 11th and 16th, it's not doing that.
Yeah, if you judge the weekly survival by obviously average points per game because teams played differently, but just by points overall like we're doing right now, DA would be up near the top, if not literally at the top of the charts because they were just getting so many kills time and time again, but now they are sitting at 1 kill total. They have 1 point, but I do want to be clear, it is not just them that are sort of disappointing us based off of their weekly showing. T1 are in 14th place, Tiamba are in 12th place, and then of course we had to mention Multi-Circle Gaming still haven't shown up. It's almost like the calendar switched over to 2021 and they're a completely different team. And when you play the smash and grab style that you mentioned, that DA play, that Tiamba also play, that I think Multi-Circle Gaming are pretty good at, that's, I mean, the way that the Chinese teams generally always play, if you want to give a sort of generalization over the entire region, you have to be able to deliver on the mechanical side of things, and these teams at the moment just aren't.
We are now moving into 2 Erangel games back to back, and again we will be broadcasting both of these. There were a couple of questions here and there whether or not we'd have time, because after this is what everyone will be setting up. This is just the appetizer. This is just the warm up. I know it's obviously fun to sit here and listen to all talk about PUBG for all and sundry and watch it all day long, but after this we do have the beginning of the weekly finals. Now I'm struck of just kind of breaking my sleep pattern completely instead of going back to bed, actually pushing through and just watching this all day, because it's going to be a fantastic day of PUBG Esports. Pretty much every single team will have played at the World Championship by all for today, all intents and purposes, once it's said and done for the next Saturday and Sunday. Lots of money on the line, lots of work still to do. It's going to be a very exciting day. ENs currently are in the driving seat. They are in the top form. They are looking phenomenal. Yes, in the back of their minds, and for the fans at home, they'll be saying, well, I wish they could have done this last week. Look, it's a different week. It's a fresh start. You reset, you go again. If they can lock in 17th, they'll be the first ones that do join the lobby come Monday. I think it's Tuesday when it's played out this time round. They'll be the first one, and it gives them the biggest chance, the biggest opportunity to be able to make it for week 2 finals. Remember, if you're not in the finals this weekend round, it's not over. It's not a loss. Clinton, we've spoken a little bit briefly on it, and we'll kind of emphasize it a bit more, and you can go into a bit more details. I believe week 6 in itself for first place is 250k. Like, the comeback mechanic for this competition is phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. The money ramps up as time goes on. So really, you got to bring your best stuff later on. So I love that you mentioned this earlier, Rich. If you don't do well on the first week, that's okay. There's still time to build up that momentum, build up your pocketbook, build up that money, and really, kind of figure out this lobby. You have time to adjust. You have time to react. You have time to sit down with your coaching staff and your other players and really work out the kinks of what's going on. And, the big team I'm really interested in right now for that is Tiamba. Tiamba just looks completely lost to me right now. I'm not seeing them take good fights. I'm not seeing them make good decisions. It just looks like they're not team fighting well. Nothing seems to be working for them, and this is quite a shock for them and Multi-Circle Gaming. for two teams that I thought I had really big expectations for.
Well, it's a battle of top and bottom. Top team wanting to lock in that 7-team spot and be the first team to jump into the next weekly survival. Bottom team looking to avoid 32nd. An unfortunate disqualification from week number 2. We go again. Porosaurus, Godspeed. We are moving to Erangel. Enjoy.
That is right. We are back. And now we are on Erangel for our final 2 games of the day. Godspeed. It has been the nth show so far today. Do we think that is going to continue?
You know, Ents looked real comfortable with the sand in their toes, you know, just over there on Miramar.
They
But
did.
I don't know. We'll have to see. This is a pretty, I was about to say really fair playing path, but it's mostly fair. Obviously a little bit of a stretch if you're going to the west, but yeah, most of the teams should be able to go where they want here, so I can't imagine anyone would be super hard-pressed to hot drop or really stretch for positions. Obviously, the esports spawns will probably be contested, but yeah, let's see what Ents can do here on the north with an even plane.
Let's see. While we're waiting to see where everybody decides to go, just a quick reminder, there will be no codes for these games. There will, however, be codes in the next set of games. Those codes will be good for 1K EP apiece. And oh no. Okay, Code Marco gonna get it. Oh, they got 2. They're fine.
Oh, consolation buggy, dude. Not bad. Definitely not the vehicle I would want, but it's there. Where's the circle gonna pop, Poro? Where are we gonna go? That's okay. I mean,
yeah, we take that.
Not. We kind of take those. It's just a little awkward. You know what happens when the circle just decides it wants to hard shift southeast and favor military. It's so unlikely, but it's so backbreaking as well for a lot of teams who think like I do. It's probably not going to go there. Roth is... What is Roth doing?
He was on the hunt. He was on the hunt. I think he saw a couple of parachutes there from GX and decided to see if he could maybe get something. And, good to know he got out of there in time because he almost got an SKS to the jaw, but was not to be. I got to say, I got to bring up one thing that's very, very important to me, and I'm very excited to see. Digital Athletics actually did send somebody to the J building. They fought for it like 3 times with 4 a.m. or they went like, I think they 4 times. I think they went 1 and 3 hot dropping for that damn J building. And I was like, you know what? If they drop Razak and they don't send somebody to that J building in the future, I'm going to be so pissed off. But you know what? They sent Metralius over there, so I'll take it. I'll say it. Okay, I admit it. The J building is part of DA's Razak plan. Fine.
It is.
Okay, stick with it. Go for it.
But Metralius is the one that seems to be there, and I mean that's a good point though. To be fair, if you're gonna fight for a building, especially in scrims or other games, you should continue to fight for it. Or at least take it when it's given to you. Obviously, like that would be a shame if they spent all that time and got bullied off. Moving to rotations out, I actually noticed that a lot of the teams have opted to rotate early, which seems to be kind of how every game has played out so far in this event. No one, obviously there's the outlier teams that like to play edge and control edge, but a lot of the teams seem to want to center up, which I find kind of interesting, especially on an international level, because normally you see teams that are more eager to play aggressive on the edge, but I think we're seeing a lot of teams send at center. The Team Liquid approach, if you will.
If you will. And we will. As we see Adder swiftly making his way away from Compound. Might take a few shots from Sung Young in the back. Sung Young just saying, yep, good move by leaving here. I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head, but you know, it's weird trying to compare these games now that we're playing in super settings to what we were seeing in the past week, just because of the difference of everything. And you know, I wonder how much of the plane path and the circle had to do with the fact that we see so many teams that are trying to rotate early. Because during the week, we were seeing circles that went just kind of way off from where the plane path was. So we were seeing a lot of teams elect to take that slow rotation and kind of play that edge, like you were saying. And to be fair, a lot of those edge teams ended up finding a lot of success playing from there.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. We've seen a lot of aggression. I mean, Damwon kind of strikes me as one of those teams, to be completely honest, especially in the earlier stages when they look really impressive. But we've also seen teams kind of get cut up. I think Zenith is actually a really good example. They get in these situations where they want to carve out a little piece of the circle, whether it's edge or not, and they just get kind of overwhelmed. And the last game, they actually had some really nice shots coming onto third party of the fight that Detonation Gaming White had, but they just got picked apart, and that's because they stayed on the edge too long. So it's about finding that balance. And I think because of all the different play styles that these, not only the teams but the regions are kind of bringing to the table, it's really thrown a wrench into the whole thing, and I think it's wonderful, to be honest. I know it's really chaotic as a player, but as a spectator, as a caster analyst, I think it's wonderful to watch and to see how these teams adapt to that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, you could tell. I mean, Zenith had a great idea of going for the third party in that last game. But I don't think they were expecting that long wraparound from 3 of Buriram that were hanging out on that far western side. Buriram sent it all the way up to the north just so they could try to third party onto Zenith, and I don't think Zenith was expecting that. So maybe that's something that Zenith gets away with 99% of the time in North America. But now that we're here in this international lobby, it's not always going to happen. So we shall see. It's a learning process for everybody. We see T1 in a big wide split going all the way across the middle of Gakka multi-circle gaming. Take a few shots towards Meta in rotation, and they are pushing right into day trade. We'll see if the day trade bullets are going to be enough to scare them away. So far, it does not look to be the case. Oh, that doesn't explode, does it?
Those hay bales, there we go. I feel like he got that other hay bale just to prove a point. He's like, look.
Well,
but they're also going to a very strong position there, Poro.
They are.
As we saw that dip. Yeah, it's dead center, and it's really good, especially for scouting, but it is also open, so they got to watch that.
Let's see the Ents boys. What we've come accustomed to, seeing them make their way in a lazily listing from the north side. A little bit earlier than maybe than normal. Actually, they're not getting tickled by the blue, so this is an early rotation for Ents, all things considered. Mamu, meanwhile, is going to hear the vehicle run away from Nurens. Not going to find the line of sight to take the shot on there. As Petrichor Road has made their way up from Millie. We'll see where they decide to go. MCG, as you said, in that position on the hillside, just kind of between Petrichor and Day Trade. They're going to have their ears open. Make sure they don't get unexpectedly pushed there by Petrichor, as we see where everybody's kind of posting up here.
Yep, and these circles tend to, it's especially in the center, these circles tend to be really rough to find space to play in, simply because there's so much open field. I mean, you have Gatka fields to the north, and then you have the fields just below that, right next to Quarry to the east, and so there's really not a lot of play. You often see teams in these circles try to shack up by sending vehicles and using that as a barrier, but the problem is if you send too many people there and the circle shifts off, especially because it's an open line of sight, you kind of risk losing your vehicles and getting stuck there. So these circles tend to be much rougher, especially when they start to center up on those fields for most of these teams to play.
Still got a lot of open area to the north that some of our late arriving teams should have plenty of space. Oh, tank. That's not how you want to go down. Remember, they're just in that middle part there, too. That's okay. They should be safe there. Taking a few shots, though, from sparking from range.
Oh, he actually landing those.
Does he actually hit there? Okay. Evil Lee gonna say, we're not gonna let you take that for free. Good thing he landed that shot. It's good stuff. MCG, meanwhile, going to be back up to full strength. See Zenith and LG Divine making the rotation just past Pachinki. Wouldn't be surprised to see Divine maybe post up on the church there, do a little scouting about where they want to go next. Zenith, meanwhile, as you saw, Meta was occupying the Pachinki Hill, so they might want to do a little bit of spotting out here for themselves. Oh, Evil Lee goes down again. Yikes. The re-knock.
Yeah, their Petrichor is just peppering on the pressure there, as are other teams. That's kind of that's the only downside of that little bowl position they're playing in. It gives you great sight lines, but it also lets everyone look at you, and so you got to position your cards kind of carefully so you don't lose tires. You have to make sure that you're not sending too many people in that dip. You got to spread out and fan out in the forest. It's an awkward position to play, but it's very strong as long as they can hold it and not actually lose anyone. Meanwhile, I mean, Zenith here and Pachinki, this isn't a bad play. I actually kind of like that they're hanging out here. The only problem could potentially be LG Divine if they want to push out, but Zenith should be able to get a good idea, especially a good rotation on the East here if they just hold through and see where the circle goes, which we're about to find out.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if Zenith does decide to try to push into LG Divine, maybe, because that is,
That's awful.
that's a rough circle. Okay, well, maybe Zenith doesn't push into LG Divine now, as they have to maybe go back and try to get their. Actually, no, they're doing it. Okay, that's. I mean, look, this church spot is a spot that Zenith plays quite a bit, and they're gonna actually get a knock for it. They're gonna get the flush onto June as well. So Levi's looks like he's still on foot. Nicky's on the run. Turtle going to be overlooking this with the mini. Levi's going to find Roth. Haven't been able to get the flush out. Okay, they'll get it. So that's a 1-1 trade for the Zenith push. As it looks like Levi's just going to go ahead and hop in the vehicle, maybe try to reposition, push away while Nicky is providing a little bit of oversight. Nicky going to take a shot in the face there from Shimboy, though, and that's going to push him down. And uh-oh, what do we have now? Pero going to be pushing into the compound occupied by Detonation Gaming. They are pushing hard into the warehouse area here. As Gokuri going to be holding down the top side. Iceflip goes down to Malofo. Malofo gets Gray as well. And Petrichor Road is falling apart here. Mill going to try to trade one back. Gokuri going to find another one.
And Gokuri off the backside.
Everything fell apart so quickly here.
And I was just talking to you about Detonation. They've been playing so well so far. I mean, Mill is the only one left now, and he's just got to get out of this little window. He's going to make it out, but Detonation held their own. Well done.
That was a little bit of a wheels-off push there, Crash from Detonation. Didn't waste any time of pushing in. He's going to spot out Mikado. That's going to be him getting knocked. Can Mill pull Triumph out of the jaws of defeat here for Petrichor Road? That's a good grenade. Wasn't cooked. Wasn't cooked. That was a little raw. They're going to go for the res here.
Yeah, I was just going to say, they're going to get a free res here. Poro with Flash did not go quite in. But yeah, DGW should be able to recover here. Unless Mill could make a really miraculous play. That Flash could have been good, but he flashed himself. And now I think this just becomes a stalemate.
Anytime I see a dude rolling around with a Groza, I feel like he's automatically
he has
getting ready to win a 1v3. Yeah, it always seems to happen. I don't know why. You can see in the kill feed there, Meta scrapping a little back and forth. Looks like they were pushing onto the Quarry Ridge. And drive-by. Why not?
There it is.
Lynch gonna get drive-by sprayed from the buggy. That's a feels bad, man. CC takes some shots. Lorena doesn't like to be pushed like that, so he's gonna go and take out CC. Lin Shun, though, gets flushed out as well. So it is a 1-1 trade, and I believe the rest of Gex is on the move. Cutting back over to the center of the circle, where we have DXG scrapping back and forth with LG Divine.
And there's just so much fighting going on all across the map, and that's because the teams have kind of realized what I was talking about earlier as well, is there's just not a lot to play, especially in the center, and there's still so much of the circle covered with water, which means that even more is going to get cut out. This is going to be an absolute, it's going to be mayhem, and that is probably one of the worst circles you want to see, especially if you're on the edge of this. Just posting that is really rough for a lot of these guys that are not already set up in the center.
That is just the worst. You get circle one, you get the hard west shift followed by the hard east shift. Now, MCG day trade, they're fine. They basically played the gamble there in hopes that the thing was going to cut back to the east, and they get to hold on to their compounds. T1, meanwhile, also has a lot of real estate, but they're in a wide split here. Pero, Mill tried to do it. He tried to do it to him. The AK, it was, yeah, no, it's a Barrel. Barrel gonna finish that one out. I guess Barrel's still better than Groza, huh?
Gross is really nasty, but Gokuri just had, I think, really good presence of mind there. And they came out looking at different angles as well to make sure that they didn't get just completely ran over by someone with a Groza, because that gun can absolutely do it. But yeah, just really impressed with Detonation Gaming White. I mean, I think that team is doing really well for themselves, especially out of the region. E36, Etterforn's struggling a little bit, but overall, really nice hold there.
I say Petrichor Road is going to have to figure something out here and fast. They finished 13th, 15th, and 16th now. They managed to collect 4 kills in the first 2 games and a couple of kills off of this one, but that is not going to be enough to get it done when you're trying to get the reseeding games through. So one more game before the day. Trying to figure out what to do here. Zenith. Looks like they lost Roth over there in the trade with LG Divina and Pachinki. They got the 3 coming in from the north side. You're getting some shots sent over in their direction from E36. Ents, kickstart. Gonna lay the fire down in the smoke, see if he can maybe get the flush onto Satu.
Yeah, going for
That's
these
a
kills for
little more
Zenith is good. Yeah, a little ambitious. Going for those kills is good, but at the same time, Zenith really needs to start paying attention to getting in the circle, because the edge that they're on, this like little mountaintop, is going to be rough for them to navigate off, as we see navigating go almost wrong. In fact, it does go wrong for Gex.
What? Out of every place on this map that you thought you could drive, the place that you thought would be the best place to drive would be the compound that's dead ass center of this. Okay. All right. Well, you know what? Sometimes I get away with it, but not this time. Ents going to be trading grenades back and forth with the boys from Meta. Kickstart going to do a little bit of support here. Going to get the knock on to Sparking from range. E36 as well having to make their way in as the blue is ticking. You can see Zenith in that perfect position off to the north to do a little third partying as Meta looks like they're camping out. Seeing did Diggory see him? I don't know.
I'm not
Sills,
sure.
what you got?
Oh, this is so good yet so dangerous. If he can pull this play off. Silence, God. Oh, and this and there it is, the strike.
That's exactly what they needed. Rustamar goes down as well. Squeaky now the last one up, as he's a little bit separated from the rest of the players on top of the hill. And then what, another push down one, just crashing right into the middle of all of this. They do the same thing Gex does, only this time they decided instead of driving by, we're just going to crash right into the son of a gun. Nikki, the last one up for Divine, holding the line right now as he's got 17 HP and now he's got a grenade in his face. That is not going to do it. Damn Juan with the hard crash does not lose a single soul in the push.
That was really aggressive and really well played overall. Meanwhile, Zenith here on the northwest side fighting off this mountaintop. This is a really notoriously difficult place to fight, especially if there's a lot of teams entrenched there. But it looks like Zenith has almost kind of pushed the rest of them off, or they've either rotated off. You do have Digital Athletics down to the south there, but they're not really going to be a threat. In fact, if they have to come up to the mountain, Zenith has the advantage. Now, moving over to Ents, they're still also on this side, on the west side, and there's nothing to play directly to the east. They're going to have to do a wide rotate down to the south, and that's exactly what they're going to do.
Zenith was taking shots on the D36, and then there you go, Shimboy. Well. Actually, Kickstart going to be the one that gets the glory for that one. As Ents, as he said, making the move, going for the hills. They got 2 alive, which is a lot better than we figured that they would be doing. Squeaky does manage to get the res onto Diggory, and that's going to bring them back up to 2. So it's a little bit of a rougher game for Ents than they've had in the first 2. Meanwhile, DGW making their way out on the south side, holding the ridge line on the road. They're getting a few shots sent their way from Day Trade, maybe Buriram. Buriram's still that far south position. Oh, no.
Norins with a really nice shot on a moving vehicle. He's going to find Diggory, and Squeaky's gone as well. That's Ents eliminated in 11th after 2 back-to-back wins. They had to go down. It's because they weren't in the north. That's really what it is.
That's what it was. They were in the south side. South side don't play. All right, DA now in a little bit of trouble. Zenith has a nice little overhanging position on them right now. Matrelius has already gone down. Coat Marco down there might be able to go after that flush. Some good smokes. The grenades are going to come. Is that a grenade or is that smoke? Okay, I think that was a smoke.
That was, whatever it was beautiful for.
It was well placed. Smash going to get roasted by Poonage. Mert going to get taken down as well. It's going to be Poonage knocking him low enough. Will get the credit. No, he doesn't. Oh, no. This is bad. All right, but now Zenith getting shot at from range here by DGW. You can see Curry, you got to hit those, dude. Okay, there you go. You'll steal it. That gets it done. But Zenith will flush out DA. Kickstart is still alive. Poonage just on the edge of the circle. I'm not sure. I think he might get picked off here as well. Yep, there you go. Curry. Actually, C's will do the credit for that one. Kickstart still alive, but Zenith collects a nice little chunk of points for themselves. Playing from that north side. We'll see how far Kickstart can get in for the rest of this game.
And although Burirem isn't in the circle, they have a spot to play. The problem is Day Trade is really watching that south side because there's a ridge that they can play. But that's pretty much the only spot they have. You have PGI on the other side as well, and Burirem, are they defended? Maybe they're drawing fire. No, not even the rest of their team is moving. This is rough. Burirem's in a really tight spot.
It just wasn't even a bait play, even as the Edie does go
what I
down
thought
to
at
it.
first.
Yeah, that's what it would kind of look like. But Narendra and Gamyao were, they weren't even looking over in that direction. They were still looking over toward DGW. So we'll see what they decide to do from here. Meanwhile, under the rest of the boys from Dom Juan had to push in and through DXG. The smoke wall is impeccable. It's impenetrable. DXG, Long K wants no part of it. He's going to throw a grenade in. We'll do a little bit of damage to Kale, but the rest of Dom Juan is going to be able to push up onto this. The spray comes through. Fergus is going to be the one that's in sight, does not go down. See, Zenith will get eliminated in the background. But for their part, DXG avoid this fight rather well.
Yeah, I mean, regardless, I love the push that came from Namwon, but now they're kind of stuck in the north part of this compound, and there's really not that many buildings or that much cover to play with. And the next option for them, as well as DXG, especially if the circle shifts even a little bit to the east, is going to be there's nothing to play. It's just dead center fields.
It ain't great. And I don't know what their vehicle situation is, but it can't be great either. You got T1. Yeah, T1 hanging out in the north has a little bit of a ridge line. You can see they're putting in work as they get the knock onto Kale. And this might be the sign from Kia that says, hey, you know what? We can't really worry about going north right now. T1's got that locked down, so let's clear this out, try to get some points. Songyang going to move in, take a little bit of damage. Just on the other side of the Molotov. They've got plenty of throwables to lose onto DXG right now, but DXG doing a good job of avoiding him for the most part here. Long K, IQ 500 just holding the line. They're going to find the good angle. Holy DXG ripping into him. Songyang will get one knock and flush, but he is the last survivor in the matter of seconds. DXG strikes.
What a play. What an attempt. But man, DXG was so Division X gaming, man. They were so on point there with that hold. Losing one for that, especially with the utility demo. Very impressive stuff from DXG. Love to see it.
Absolutely. One hell of a hold from DXG. They only lose one on the push from Dom Juan Gaming, one of the best teams in the world. But now
what's their consolation for?
Yeah, their consolation. Fortunately, they have vehicles to play around with. DC, it looks like Detonation going to take a few shots at them as they try to reposition a little bit here. T1, for their part, look like they are just vibing right now. MCG also has a good hold here on the circle. DXG, you can see they're trying to figure out what they want to do. I don't even know. I mean, do you just send it to maybe where T1 is and just hope for the best, or what?
I mean, I think in this position, they either go straight north or they wrap to the east. There's really no play for them at the west. I mean, the only reason DXG is making the play to the west is because they had vehicles.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think Detonation just has to push straight in and just hope for the best, win the fight.
Oh, they're trying to put themselves within grenade range here of T1. But Star-Lord's going to be the one that finds MBK with the opening knock there. Grenades will come out of Fergus. Nothing going to find it just yet. IQ 500 trying to shoot through the smoke. Will find one adder. Actually going to go down to a vehicle explosion. Fergus, they're trying to flush him out here. Is IQ 500 now the last one up. He's going to see if he can get anything done. Trades with Star-Lord. Gets the knock. Can he get two? Yes, he can. IQ 500. T1 just creeping and peeking at the worst possible times, man. You can't have that pin pulled and peek around the side like that, you just get absolutely roasted, and T1
And that's
falls
it.
apart.
They were split on what they were watching. Aqua 5 was not in the position to cover, but the plays from IQ 500, I mean, I feel like T1 rushed that and they paid for it. They gave him the 1v1s and he won them quite well.
Gave him exactly what he wanted, exactly what he needed. Gakuri gets knocked and will accidentally knock his teammate with that grenade as well. And it looks like that might be it for Detonation Gaming. Well, they still got C's. C's still up. Daytrade, meanwhile, doing some work from the southern part of this circle. We'll see if they can get an overlook here on the DXG. As the rest of the multi-circle gaming boys have just been kind of holding out on the eastern side here. Don't really have to peek anything just yet. No angles provided. Oh, C's get spotted. C's got saw. Unfortunate.
Very true. Very
10
true. I mean,
kills.
yeah, DXG. I'm gonna be honest. They really should not have survived. They shouldn't have. But the fact that they had just the guts to make that push and make that play on a T1 who arguably put so much damage on them in the not even arguably, they actually just did put so much damage on them in the beginning, and they just were able to find a way, and that's largely due to IQ 500 just getting clean 1v1s and just dominating them. But now I'm not really sure who wins. I think it's probably multi here, but I mean, you still have Daytrade on top. They could pour over.
I do have a question if DXG has any of those vehicles still in operation. I doubt it. If they are, they're probably busted to all hell and back. But it looks like they're just looking kind of over in the distance. Lingdu, I think, is their biggest problem right now. The rest of the yeah, they need something,
anything, yeah.
I mean, Daytrade just has them dead to right.
Yeah, that's the thing. They need to make it to one of the heroes that obviously is indestructible, right? Like, because nades will also be a factor depending on how close they get. It looks like they do have one smoke. Actually, this is multi-circle. So let's see what their play is. Lingdu does have somewhere to play. Obviously, his teammates have held something down, and that APC is actually going to be massive. This is such a disgusting angle.
Filthy stuff coming out from MCG.
And they were holding that. Oh, wait a second.
Yeah, the shots, Daytrade took the shots down onto him. None of them landed, though, so Lingdu gets away with it. Meanwhile, IQ 500 trying to see if he can do something here, man, anything, as they have to start creeping. Fergus is going to come and join him at the shack. Nuren's, see, still looking over in that direction. But there's just, I mean, multi-circle's dug in like a tick right now. I mean, there's nothing Daytrade can really do about them without actually crashing onto that and putting themselves in grenade range.
I mean, realistically, they can do this. They can try to go down here to the southwest, find just one or two positions where they can play, but ultimately,
no. Wait,
I think that may have been accidental. He might have walked in front of him. I'm not sure what happened there.
Well, I hope so.
Yeah, I would also hope that was not intentional. Oh, and DXG, I mean, where are you going to go? You're going to die, I think. Or try to make a run for it and give a point. Yeah. I mean, you never know until you try, but DXG really just had nowhere to go. I mean, that's kind of what we've been talking about, Poro.
Yeah, IQ 500 does manage to make it to a hay bale for now. Let's see if he can do any. Oh, Venotica, okay. Oh, that's the shot he was trying to hit the first time. But then, you know, Flash's big old head got in the way. But this time he gets it. All right, so what do you like here? Venotica has that, has a nice little position here going towards the center of the circle, has probably preference on Dot. The rest of MCG hanging outside the circle here. A nice little wrap going on by Daytrade. What do you think wins it?
I think MCG still potentially wins this if Nuren's cannot get off that top, which I'm not sure he is. But wait, MCG is actually moving out? They have a wrap to the north. It's actually not great. I think Daytrade has the advantage now, even with that knock. It just depends on what you play.
That's the thing, isn't it? They're not throwing out any smokes just yet. It looks like they threw out an aggressive smoke to keep Nuren's from peeking. Now they're going to throw them out here. 6 rounds left in the chamber for Lingdu. You don't want to be shooting them at hay bales, my dude. Venotica looks like he's holding the edge. Lingdu will finish off Nuren's. And Flash, nice position, spots him out. That's huge. Venatica going to trade it
Huge.
back. He's going to find Tank. Summer now the last one left alive. Back against the blue. Down to about half HP. Venatica, though, it's a 1v1. Can Venatica try to find the wrap here? He's got 3 kills already. He's playing the aggressor. He's pushing in as the smokes are still up. Multi-circle game. The shot's coming through. Venatica going to give his spot away. And now the shot's coming through from Summer. He's going to get it. The win for Multi-Circle Gaming.
Wow. What an absolute play, though, from Daytrade. To be completely honest, I kind of counted them out, but they made those plays, and Multi-Circle was really content in just holding their spot, and it almost cost them, especially with that off angle from Flash. He was able to hide himself, pounce, get the knock, and almost swing it in the favor of Daytrade. So really well played to them, but MCG in the end had the better position, and they were able to recover. It all came down to a 1v1, though, which was pretty wild for that circle.
I mean, you can't ask anything more than to have it come down to a 1v1. And I think you hit the nail on the head. Divine, he had to push there. He knows that he's the last one up. There's 2 knocked on the other side. He knows that Summer was down to about half HP. This was the time to push. Use the smokes to try to get in a better position. Turns it into a 1v1, and in the end, Summer just comes out on top. Pure skill.
Yeah. That was a much more exciting game than I thought it would be, considering where that circle was ending. So, I mean, love to see it. Love to see it.
Well, I mean, I think it started off, just the wheels fell off of that thing pretty early with the hard Western shift on Circle 2, followed by 2 hard Eastern shifts on 3 and 4. So, I mean, that basically set everybody up to try to be running into each other on that Western side of the circle and fights, and it just turned into an absolute bloodbath early on. Multi-Circle Gaming, for their part, they stuck to their guns. They hung out in that far eastern compound, hoping that it would cut back their way, and in the end, it pays off.
Well, I mean, they absolutely earned it. Although it was close, they still got it. But hats off again to Daytrade.
It was close. Good stuff. Well, let's see what the analyst desk has to say about this one, guys. Take it away.
Thank you very much indeed, Poro. Yes, MCG, Multi-Circle Gaming finally coming up with the win. That's what you wanted to see. We know there is definitely signs of life from this roster. We know they can do better than what they're performing so far. Finally, Clinton, we're seeing signs of life.
Yeah, it's just, they're playing very good. They're controlling their space very well in these situations. Yes, the circle kind of does keep coming towards them, of course. Huge sigh of relief on their faces. They really looked like they gotten a monkey off their back there. They had not been playing good here again today, and to get this win is a really, really big start for them. And it almost collapsed. It's a great move by Nurens to get up on the hill, but he gets taken down quickly, and that, again, allows MCG to control and open up some space, and, Summer with a huge clutch at the end.
Another fantastic performance coming out from DXG to third place finishes back-to-back. Along with 16 frags between the last 2 games, will happily sit them in 2nd position overall on the league tables. Third in the previous game as well. For Daytrade, though, I have to go back to this roster for all but a moment, Cammy, because that final circle towards the end of it, between Venatica's positioning to drive the car early and try and cut off the head of the snake, so to speak, to try and cut off MCG from moving was a fantastic maneuver, all backed up with Nurens in the back, just peppering away. That could have been their win, but a clutch kill ultimately kind of solidified that on the side of MCG.
Yeah, Daytrade, even though there are a couple of moments that they do sort of show their, I guess, greenness in lobbies like this, such as the team kill at the very end there, that probably, I think that almost could have been a deciding factor of why they did end up losing this out to Summer, especially on Multi-Circle Gaming. But they have been looking really, really good. In fact, if you remember back in the weekly survival, I don't remember which exact game that they came in, but they were really low on the ranking decision. So they only had a couple of games, and right out of the gate, they were able to get themselves a solid 2nd or 3rd place, a podium finish, essentially. This was a game that 4AM won, but Daytrade really made them work for it. And I think Venatica, especially on this team, has been looking very, very solid. He's 2nd place compared to his teammate Norids here on the top 5 damage, but consistently overall, not to say that the rest of Daytrade are leagues behind him, but he's there at the helm, pulling the rest of his teammates up with him, and they're looking like a solid group overall.
We've been seeing quite a lot of the APAC players up at the top of the charts when it comes to both damage and frags, and rightfully so. Maybe now they're starting to kind of find their own footing amongst their own region, amongst themselves, to be fair. Whether or not they can jump up further towards next week's a different question altogether. It's what we're answering now, between now and tomorrow as well. We have to be kind of quick, and at any time this could just dive straight into the game, because we do have all the main head of the matches coming up rather shortly. This will be the last game of Erangel for today when it comes to the reseeding process. Now, I know in the back I was advised that we're getting ready to rock and roll as soon as possible. I mean, we can even see some of the maps on the player's screen, so it won't be too long. We'll kind of round it out with this point. Clinton, last match of the game. Who's your eyes on here to try and put some points on the board before we enter tomorrow?
I mean, definitely for me, Buriram is kind of who I'm personally looking at. Because I think they have that explosive capability. But the problem for Buriram, again, is that they're boom or bust. They need to kind of find a way to level out and find some of that footing we saw that they were able to get during the weekly qualifier here. And when they got their win at PCS3 APAC, for example, they really, there's so much talent on that team. They just need to kind of coordinate themselves a little better and really put that, you know, firepower to better use at times. And today we're seeing them struggle a little bit here, down in 9th place with just 17 points. Is definitely a little bit underperforming, in my opinion, for that squad.
Cammy, same kind of question to yourself before we get the next game underway. Is there anyone in particular that you're thinking, all right, this isn't the performance I want to be seeing today, and tomorrow it's kind of, you know, make it or break it, so to speak?
Ooh, I mean, as far as teams that are disappointing, Digital Athletics, it's been 3 games and they still only have one kill. Yeah, exactly, because you don't think to look for it. If I gave you a blank scoreboard and I asked you where do you expect Digital Athletics to be, and even if I hinted at you that it was a disappointing performance, you'd probably put them in between 6th and 10th, right? Like at the lowest. Not down in 16th place, and they didn't even have 4 a.m. on Erangel to deal with, fighting over control of that J compound and the vehicles and the rotations that it allows them. So maybe the disappointment of the weekly survival just hit them that much, but they haven't even showed up today.
That's I didn't realize it was just 1 point. Like that is catastrophic. And again, from a team that we have seen do 50 points on a good day, I think there's still something there. There is signs of life, but not at the moment. They need to do something. They need to turn it around. We have one more map of Erangel left for seedings today. We will have 4 more tomorrow, and that will show us where they stay their feet. Are they going to be in 32nd? Or are they going to be in 17th? 17th is where you want to be, and at the moment, ENCE is holding on with a firm grip. Presented by Intel, I'm going to proudly pass this one over to Poro and Godspeed to close out today at the seeding matches.
One more game for today before we head into our weekly finals, which I know everybody is excited and pumped about. But let's see what we can do with this last game on the reseeding matches. Godspeed, it's been a fun one so far.
It's been a wild and crazy kids type of day. It's been all over the place,
man.
The circles have been really punishing, which is, again, not great for the players, but really great for us as well as the spectators. And the action all around, I absolutely love when any of the Asian regions get into the mix, because they're so aggressive and they're so exciting. And I think that's exactly what these other regions need to see in order to kind of step it up themselves, because, man, they punish absolutely everything. And sure, sometimes they get in trouble as well, but that's just what makes them so great.
Well, we see a little bit of action early on here. Zenith deciding to drop into the military base alongside of LG Divine. 2 teams that need to have a little bit of something go their way. They not a terrible day for either one of these teams, both hanging around towards the middle of the lobby right now, but definitely could have gone better. See where the circle decides to take us. Are they going to get a milli circle?
Oh my goodness. The obligatory one. The obligatory
Gotta have one.
Set of yep.
Well, all right. Well, now this puts a little bit more pressure on Zenith and LG Divine to figure out what they want to do about this now, doesn't it?
Well, yes, and the other issue is it's not like it's not like Zenith can pull out because they're also being sandwiched by DA, who, although have been kind of a non-factor in this lobby so far, I really hate to say that, they potentially have the opportunity to hold out Zenith and maybe even third party this fight if it really gets crazy. But meanwhile, Multi-Circle Gamers Summer is kind of in a little compound war here at farm with Metagaming's Ragnar Dino. This is interesting.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Summer got a look and saw Ragnar holding that barrel and looked down to his VSS and was like, maybe I don't want to take this. Anyway, Ragnar.
I mean, no harm.
No harm. Yeah, gets out of there, pulls off. While that was going on, Zenith did take a few shots over towards LG Divine, and it looks like that was going to be enough to spook them out of the C block of apartments anyway, which is good news for both of these teams, really.
I actually like this. Yeah, I agree. It's good news for both teams. They don't risk an early fight in a position where they're pretty much dead center on a milli circle, right? Which is always a godsend. On top of the fact that they have now positioned themselves to go to ATC, which I would say arguably is a better position because they can also rotate to any of those bunkers that are right ahead of them. And we've seen many times before, Poro, that, wait a second, before I finish that thought, here we go, day trade. Poochus is going to nah, he's just going to watch it pass.
I think they actually spotted them on the pass too, because Longke was waiting for it. Takes the shots over there, but yeah, little half-hearted camp there coming out from Day Trade. I don't think they were. I mean, Pushels was the only one that was anywhere near it. There is Flash and Nerns Venatica. They're all off in points west. Meanwhile, DXG going to pass through as you see DA. They've got Metralius up north. They got 2 at the crossroads. They've sent Merc down to the south. Looks like as everybody's hopping in vehicles, the south might be the play here for DA, as they're going to go ahead and give up that crossroads position early on here and just play from the south. What do you think about that? I mean, I know the crossroads gets a lot of love, but the south seems like it gets a lot of victory.
It's rough. Honestly, it's rough because I think either position is technically correct. You can play from either one and find success. This one obviously is very heavily skewed down towards the south. There's, I mean, less land that you would normally have in the milli circle, I think, because of all that. But I think because of how far south it is, the reposition is just fine. I mean, they would have found success either way. I think they're just betting that it's going to continue to stay south.
We'll take it. And DA will take it. And Meta will take that boat.
The other thing I was going to say is that getting caught on the south is not as awful as getting caught in that compound with multiple teams, because new compound, as you know, it's always a popular spot. So I think they're kind of playing for that and maybe trying to get out of a very contested area, because clearly it's not been working through. I mean, they have not really won any of the fights. It's just kind of been getting picked apart.
True. And, you know, another thing about that compound is it tends to be safe towards late game, especially if it gets the circle shifts.
Yeah.
But you don't really see a whole lot of kills coming from there, do you?
No. It's hard to push.
Damwon just crashing right up on top of Pushels here. They're not going for the bridge. They're going for the scouting position. And Pushels looks like he's going to be able to dip out of here just in time. Now, the question is Damwon on the hunt? They've left Songyang off to the north on the hillside. I like this play from Damwon, actually. They're like, oh, you're going to camp the bridge? Well, we know where you keep one player. We're just going to crash that.
Look at this from Seongjang. Very sneaky, part of the same team. So I believe the way this is set up is that they think the majority of the team of Damwon was probably up there at the lighthouse, and Seongjang can actually kind of just creep.
Do love to see him creep. Meanwhile, caught a look at MCG doing a little casual bridge camp there on the eastern side. Meanwhile, Buriram coming in from the south. They've got nothing anywhere near him. Petrichor, meanwhile, they've left Mamu up on the radio tower. The rest of the squad has head south. They did briefly run into Mert from DA as he was scouting around, but I think that took off into nothing. Zenith going to go play the, what do you call that? The general's house, officer's house, little place. It's a spot that they always play.
Call that nursery for some reason. I don't know why.
Okay,
I couldn't tell.
Never would have guessed that one.
I know. There's some weird names out there, man. Every team has a different name.
They sure are. Dangshay almost gets absolutely yeeted by a runaway U.S. Fortunately, he has his happy feet on, manages to duck it while taking shots towards Tiamba. Meanwhile, Damwon leaves their high ground spot, or at least they sent Kale out as a distraction, but oh no, the distraction has fallen off the cliffside. That is not good news. Oh dear.
That's actually really not good news because he has limited ways up, and I'm pretty sure Daytrade knows that. The godsend here is the fact that Daytrade still has still kind of being held at bay by the rest of Damwon.
Well, I mean, it's an additional problem of now you lost to UAS, and you're gonna have to cross that bridge eventually, you know. DXG, meanwhile, they've left MBK and IQ 500 down towards the coast to take shots over towards Gex. Some of those shots are landing, and that's going to be enough to let CC know.
Ew!
Click of running out of ammo.
Do you see that? An iron-sighted mini with the sounds with the suppressors. Gross. It's so gross. I'm sorry. No, not at all.
Kind of a turn off. Unfortunate.
Yeah.
And they sent him. And they sent him with his iron-sighted mini to go guard the coastline.
Maybe he was the only one. But I mean, they're getting good information on top of, kind of corralling them away. It's just, that's an unfortunate setup.
Yeah. Oh, Fergus is going to come over. Maybe he's got a 2X at least. Oh, no, he's got the 4X M16. Okay. Let's go. That's basically a DMR, right?
We're real budget
Take
on
a few
the
shots. We're poverty camping right now. Takes a few shots back in return.
Super effective, bro. It's just
yeah, okay, he's gonna give IQ 500. He doesn't give him the score. He says you can have you can take your iron sight.
I think he gave him the 4X. He might have had an extra 4. Yeah,
did he? Okay. He had a second. Okay, good. See, that's a teammate right there, Chad. That is a teammate right there. He didn't say continue taking your shot. He also gave him like 40 rounds, all of which none of them are hitting. Feels bad.
I mean, they're pretty hard distances to hit. But yeah, they're still harassing.
I mean, that's a long range at this point. Basically just being a pain in the ass right now.
Yep.
It's going to be even more of a pain in the ass is when they pull up on this coastline. They got Petrichor and DA there ready to go. And now Tiamba making the same road as Kale. Well, he fell off the side and decided to swim across.
On Daytrade actually finally gave it up.
Yeah.
Circle's coming in, Poro. What are you thinking? Where is this going? Because realistically, that's what we're waiting for, right?
Yeah, no, 100%. I feel something tells me this is going east. Something tells me it's going to go east. I don't know why. I just have this feeling. Just have a feeling it's going to cut east. It's going to have that radio tower in it. We'll see Petrichor try to figure out how to get up there. Buryron's going to be in a great spot, and I'm an idiot. Okay. Never doubt DA.
So this is DA. Yeah, DA's reposition is looking real 200 IQ now, and the biggest problem though for everyone else that isn't DA or the surrounding teams on that coast, which right now you have DXG is actually in a really strong position, LG Divine as well as Daytrade now. There's still 50% water in this circle, Poro, which means that the already limited playability on Millie base, especially in that area, because it is vastly open there, is even more cut off by the fact that water is taking up so much of the circle. And now I think this is where we're going to see a lot of teams start to fall.
It's a good hold from DXG for right now. It's going to push Daytrade back up to the top of the hill, which they should be fine with. I mean, you can be comfy holding the top of the hill. Well, looks like Petrichor will get one picked off. That was your radio tower man. Gets spotted out by the MCG boys. Now Buryron going to be sending it into the ferry pier where Gex is already holding court. 2 shots from CC going to come through. Looks like Buryron might be able to breeze through on this, or not. Actually, they're pulling up. They're going up to the far western side of this, and they're going to take this fight.
And fighting here is actually pretty. It's not the worst. I mean, you have a lot of creative angles to go with. You have different lanes, as we're seeing Yan Li take one of those lanes right now. And so fighting here it's fun. I'll just say this. It's not bad. This is definitely not one of the worst areas to fight in.
It definitely feels like a 50-50 too.
It's a 50-50 for sure.
God, how hilarious would it have been if there was a four-man squad on that freaking ferry boat. Oh,
Oh,
one can dream.
yummy.
Oh, all right, trading back and forth here. Now Leo gonna get Naradra down low. Trades back onto Edie. Nice shooting from Leo.
Nice shot.
And he's holding strong here. Naradra and Canaxi now. Only 2 up. Canaxi down to about half HP. Naradra, though, look at that. What did I tell you? The Groza. Absolutely terrifying. Stop honking your horn, Mr. Ferryman. We're getting ready to go. Naradra will clean it up, and that's it for GEX. 4 up for Buriram once they get these reses.
You see, are you seeing that paper? He wanted it. He said he expected something from Buriram, and sure enough, they delivered. Beautiful fight coming out from them onto Gex.
The ferry driver liked it. He was honking his horn the whole time.
He was
rooting for it. Rooting for blood. Secret.
I mean,
yeah, it's a secret. Did you know that Paper Thin actually is the ferry driver? I didn't know
believe that.
this.
And
He told me this the other day.
the thing about Buriram too is they're so aggressive, and that's what makes them so fun to watch. But there's times where that aggressiveness just doesn't pay off, and in that case, I think they've played that really well, and they had a very open kind of field to fight along, and they got it done.
Here's Ents right where you would expect them to be, eating blue damage, but coming in late and safe on the north side of this circle. They do have a T1 that's just off to their west, but I don't think they have a decent line on them. Meanwhile, Divine have posted up over here towards... Yeah, what you got?
I'm getting rid. Yep, it's still got half. That's so much water. I was just waiting for it. This is an awful circle to play. This is an awful circle to play. If you're not DA or let me name the teams that are probably having a decent time right now. DA, potentially DXG, Buriram, and Tiamba's actually kind of caught in between. All the teams in the north eventually are going to be fine, but it's just so claustrophobic, this circle.
Well, the one good thing they got going for them is that it's going to have to shift up back to the north again. DGW, meanwhile, is making the hard crash into Multi-Circle Gaming, and Multi-Circle Gaming is just losing these straight-up fights as they find 2 down on the hard push. Tank is the last one up, and Tank is nowhere near the scene as he is just running, diving, dodging, hiding by a tree in a ditch. That is not the MCG that we got used to seeing in PCS3. They win their fights. But it has been rough roads for them this tournament so far.
Yeah, and Nikki's just kind of scouting out to see what happened over there, and MCG is just Tank. I don't know what's going on with these guys. I mean,
they're gonna win. Yeah. So
they did, but at the same time, Day Trade almost took that from him in a position that I would say arguably they shouldn't have, and that's a problem. I mean, MCG really won that off the back of a 1v1, and now they're down to just 1 again. So I don't know what's going on with the PCS3 champs.
Well, let's take a look, man. Meanwhile, Meta has the longest 25 yards of their life in front of them as LG Divine is just waiting. Ents, meanwhile, started rotating back, and they're running right into T1, who backfilled into this high ground spot. Let's see if Dangshay can do anything. He does. Oh my God. Picks Rustbar right up, and a nice shot from Diggory. Is going to trade it right back as Aqua 5 will take a few shots in return towards the backside of Ents as they just continue to go. They'll get this res back onto Dangshay. Where does Ents go? Ents is actually going to go to the dip that phase won game 16 of the final of the qualifiers for him. Okay, here we go. The push from Meta coming through. Grenades all over the place. We'll get the knock on to Levi's. Silzen right up on top.
Oh
my
nice.
God.
Gets the knock. That was beautiful.
No backup, unfortunately, from the 2 anchor players, the high ground players. Nikki getting picked apart here from both sides. Great push from Meta here. Absolutely huge stuff. They ripped LG Divine to pieces, which is not something that's very easy to do.
No, and to be honest, LG Divine is actually they've been struggling throughout these games. I mean, it's situations like that where they're holding a decent position and then they just get absolutely cut off. And Meta Gaming is going to finish them off. Really nice push onto the north there, but they're still not out of it. This position is probably about to get pushed out of the circle, which means that they don't have much. They have a little bit of time to recuperate here, but their journey's just begun for it.
Yeah, Zenith is peppering the hell out of them here. Is T1 trying to pull up, and they have done some significant damage over here to Ents. I think it's just down to Squeaky as he is trying to heal. Nope, done and dusted. DXG coming out at the perfect time, though. The third party on a T1. They're going to find one. They're going to find two. One left up for T1, and that's going to be Adder hiding through the smokes, trying to make it through. They're getting shot from the north from Daytrade. DXG on the backside as well. He's going to hop into the US, try to survive a little bit longer, but where do you go from here? You go into the ground. Mert going to pick him off.
And man, another really good play there from DXG, but another disappointing game for T1. I mean, this is definitely one of the teams that I had my eyes on, and not only did they, kind of end up in this lobby, but they're also just really not like taking advantage of some of the really good positions that they're being put in.
Strong as they were looking earlier this tournament, they've only gotten 7 points today before even this game, and he seems to go out pretty early there. Unfortunate stuff for them. Meanwhile, let's see what Damwon is looking like. They're pinned down by Zenith on the edge of the... Actually, not even pinned down by Zenith. They're just pinned down by Kickstart.
Sato is going to find a nice little knock there onto Mill. Oh!
My God.
Oh, okay.
I'm not going to the lobby today. That's what he's saying. Okay.
Okay.
E36 cleaning up nicely. Is Damwon now trying to make their move? Zenith, as you see, still have the angles, but that's a nice smoke wall. We've seen Damwon pull these smoke walls out before. A few Molotovs coming through from Zenith.
The way that they throw those smokes, it almost seems like they're just kind of wasting them. But if you actually look at where they land, they're so effective with those.
Kicky. Down to 2 HP there is see Roth just trying to find some kind of angle. Looks like he might have spotted out ahead. Kale gonna go down to Shinboy there under, just staying alive. Looks like Shinboy has a angle down here. Under doesn't spot him out though. Indigo still up as well. But how long can they last? Zenith now collapsing onto this. Kickstart will find him, and Shinboy will take out Under. That's clean as you like from Zenith.
Yeah, that was very well played. The positioning there from Zenith to receive that push, even with the massive amount of smokes thrown. Well played, Zenith, honestly. Very well played. But now where do you go? That's the problem. They're going to basically have to push into meta if they want any sort of north position there. And even then after that, they don't have many plays across the road. So we'll see, depending on what teams are kind of left on that northeast side, which really it's just DGW.
Yeah, it looks like they're trying to get a little bit of looting done before they start getting back together and maybe taking on day trade here. DXG, meanwhile, going to trade back and forth with Tiamba. Lorena going to land a few nice shots into it. It's going to be enough to get Long K to pull down and try to go for the heal. Lorena taking some shots from range here, though, as he tries to push up, try to get in close to you. You don't have a grenade, my dude. What are you doing? He's getting peppered from range. He's pushing into it like he's got a grenade, but Long K, guess what? He actually has grenades. He's ready to go. He's not good at throwing them. Okay, never mind.
There's been some incredible grenade throws, by the way. Here comes the push. Lorena. He's going to go for it. And no, so close.
That feels so bad. And it gets stolen away by Smash. So that feels bad for Long K there. But we'll see how long he can survive. Day trade. Meanwhile,
very long.
Okay. Goodbye. DA with their, I mean, look, we called it. We talked about it at the very beginning of the game. You know, DA had pretty much their choice of any spot that they wanted to play. They made the call to come to the south side, and it has paid off in a huge, huge way for them here so far. Now all that's left to do is to get a few more kills and win this game. Get right back into this thing. Buriram, they're going to have to make a push now. 2 vehicles is all they've got to work with. Where are they going to go?
I mean, where do they realistically have to go? I mean, there's not many dips or anything left. Looks like they're actually going to the other side.
How about Code Marco? No! Code Marco loses the 1v1. And he gets roasted. Matrelli is going to come up here and try to provide some support on the second part. He shot the AK. No! Oh, Matrelius. You've got to hit those.
Really, yeah, that's like that's not even like a toxic thing. Like you cannot whiff there. That was really unfortunate. That could have been 2 easy knocks, and the compound for man, DA.
Well, they still have 3 up. They still have a chance to take this thing back. It's unfortunate that Buriram was allowed to get in here all 4 up. Edie going to swap out for the shotty. We've been seeing that a lot in this tournament. Once it gets down to compound play, these players are opting to go for that close range shotgun action. This is because it's so effective. You see Mings creeping in here from Tiamba, just going to stay alive. Probably won't get involved in any of this, really. So we wait and see where this new circle decides to go. Pushils makes it in on the west side.
Just barely.
Okay, sure. Why not? And this fight between DA and Buriram is going to have to go off here eventually. But we can see how long they can stall it out here. I mean, they're all in the same compound. You look at those, it's all guns out. Nobody's got grenades.
Yeah.
Nobody's got Molotovs. I'm not sure if that's on purpose or if it's just a nature of the beast.
I don't know, but they obviously have to get ready for that fight, as there's just a small corner of that compound still in, and obviously they have neighbors. Meanwhile, I actually really like DGW's position here. I mean, they potentially have the game-winning position, especially if they can just kind of hold off Meta as well as Zenith coming up from the northwest. They should be okay to kind of dictate the pace of this, especially because I'm pretty sure that compound's going to get knocked out, as well as the fact that the cannibalization of, DA and Buriram is about to happen.
Right there. Oh, well. I'm not sure who it was, but the one thing you pushed it right. There's so many different places you could have put that where the tires would have been safe, but oh well. Unfortunate. Meanwhile, see Gabmiao just taking a look over the side. He's going to spot out Pushils.
Oh.
Takes the shots, and no, Pushils almost.
You see how fast he was running?
He's a speed demon.
He was cruising.
All right, this is the big push right now. Meta finally pushing right into DGW. C's holding the anchor spot. Silzen right up front. Holding the line. Prone gamers win the 1v1s. Ragnar now going to bracket up. See if he can maybe trade it back. Oh, Sylphia actually. As E36 going to do some damage for him now. Yeah, sparking the last one up. As the Japan going to provide some support for each other here from range.
Yeah, little teamwork from the region. You love to see it. Unless you're Meta, then you have to...
Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh, yeah, that. Yeah, I mean.
But look at the position they got into, Poro.
They got that with losing. Did they lose somebody? I think they lost 1 on that.
Yeah,
unless they had 2 of them. They lost Shinboy.
You're right.
Yeah, I think Shinboy got picked out of the vehicle as they were moving. But you know what? It's fine. They're still 2 up. We'll see if how they decide to deal with Detonation Gaming. Meanwhile, DA and Buriram, it had to come to a head eventually. It looks like this is going to be the time. Oh no! Here's the pin pull. Mings!
Oh, be careful.
Mings out of nowhere. Just absolutely bodies Buriram at the perfect time, the worst time for them. But DA could not be happier here as they are able to get Mert back up. It looked like Buriram was ready to crash on top of that to win that fight, but Mings settles things up. Well, Gabmiao and Eddie still working. Can Mings keep the problem? Good flick there. Mings will stay alive. Gabmiao will find one. Edie holding the corner. Mert gonna spot him out, gets the knock on the Gabmiao. Everybody holding their lines, holding their corners as the smoke fades. Edie, the last one up, 1v2 versus DA. Mings still up, still involved in this, just on the outside. If anybody creeps around ahead, oh, what a grenade from Edie. 200 IQ stuff, and now the shotty has come out. Smash is gonna try to go for the res here onto Metralius, while it looks like Edie might be trying to go for the res onto Gabmiao, while Mings throwing the grenades in from the outside. This dude is insane.
And Mings is single-handedly making this fight awful for both Buriram as well as Digital Athletic. This is, and in fact, I actually would say that he has the advantage now in this fight. He could hold them out. This is
Oh, he's
huge.
got a good
This is
one on the
absolutely
outside
huge.
here. Looks like he's looking for some stuff here. Edie, the shotty. Oh, he gets smashed low. Godmeow gonna finish him off. Now, no, Ming's gonna find Godmeow. Just as you said, just as you predicted, Ming's in the perfect spot to ruin the game here for Burry Rom. Oh, Edie! Oh, what a clutch. That is
The
good
timing of
information.
it up.
I think can actually let him know exactly where he was. Meanwhile, Zenith does go down in this. Detonation Gaming gonna hard crash onto E36 while all this is going down. Edie is just hanging out in the south side all by himself. He could just kind of chill for a while here while E36 and DGW trade it back and forth.
Yeah, this is now down to Japan on Japan action as we see Burry Ram down there to the southwest.
Riz. Can't believe he's going for the res in the wide open like that. He's going to get away with it too. Corey looks like he's been spotted by Satu. Satu still has grenades on. They actually let him get the res off. Satu just a little bit on the side of the hill. Nice grenade going to find Malofo though. And now the re-shot coming in. Gakori gets knocked low, but Macau going to take out Sato. Gakori very, very low. You see Amanat, Sylphia still on the top of the hillside, but look who the only player in the circle is right now. It's going to be Edie. Seas will spot out Sylphia, and that's going to be E36 down to just one player. Amanat going to come up over the top. Can he spot out Seas? Yes, he does. Gets him down to about half HP. The rest of E36 all low, all hurting, but all still alive. Detonation. There they go. They'll finish him off. And that'll do it for E36. But now, can Edie play the spoiler? He's still got a shotgun. Oh no. he never picked his DMR back up.
He has center circle though, so if he just
what? Oh, he shot the cow too.
Oh my goodness. I'm gonna be honest, I don't think he wins this. In fact, I know there's no chance in hell he wins this, but man, what a presence of mind to stay alive towards the end. I mean, it was almost Detonation Gaming. I thought that they had the best position, and it turned out they did. They were able to hold out the teams off the north. And really, I think Ender Force potentially slipped up by letting them get that close because they did do a drive-by onto the position. They had a few members in the back covering from Detonation, but Ender Force was just a little too passive, I think, on the backside of that hill, especially because they had no one behind them working on it. So really well played to DB, man. Honestly, they killed it. That was a very well-played game. Or DGW, I'm so sorry.
Oh, yeah, dude. Detonation Gaming White with the victory. And as you said, I mean, I think E36 had every chance in the world to win that one. I don't know what it was that made them hesitant to push off of the knocks. Maybe it was the smokes. Maybe it was just some good shots coming out from DGW. Either way, they allowed DGW to get those reses, get back up to full strength, and then some good shooting on the part of the E36 or the Detonation Gaming boys end up clutching out the victory. Although Burry Rom, I mean, Edie popped him.
Edie had some crazy. That fight that happened in that compound between DA and Burry Rom was just out of control. The amount of utility that was used and the fact that it was almost ruined by a solo was really crazy. So Mings was probably the MVP for me. It's either him or Edie for just making it that far. But overall, what a hell of a game to end on the south side of the military circle or military base. That was just wild, man. I don't even know what to say anymore. I'm out of words. I'm jumbling them up.
It's absolutely nuts. I mean, you gotta feel for DA once again. I mean, they get a perfect circle, perfect game, perfect everything going their way, and they end up just allowing or not being able to hold Burry Rom off from the push, and in the end, they pay the price for it. I mean, imagine if they would have been able to hold that Burry Rom push, take care of Mings, and they have 4 up from that south side, third party onto that Detonation Gaming and E36 fight. It would have been a cakewalk. But you know what? It is what it is. We'll see what the analysts have to say about this one as we are done with our first 4 games of the reseeding process. Boys, take it away.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Yes, indeed, we are coming to a close now as we find our first 4 games over and done with. 4 more to go tomorrow, but for now, I've got to say, DGW, Detonation Gaming, all the way up at the top with 2 top 4 finishes and then 1 win to fall it back-to-back. Like, that is a good, consistent day, and that will sit them at the top of the tables. Clinton, we were looking for something to come out of Japan. We were looking for, once we get into these close combat engagements, and finally, it just feels like in a bit more of an aggressive lobby, in a bit more of a in-your-face style lobby, that more of these APAC stroke Asia regions that are having that like to get a bit messy, they're paying off, and as you can see from the tables, like, it's going their way.
Yeah, Detonation Gaming White is a team that is known to be probably the most mechanically gifted in Japan. They're incredibly tough on defense. They can defend pushes so well. So up close and personal, there's a lot of skills here. And we've seen this in back-to-back games from Detonation Gaming White, where they pushed Pero and won in the previous game on Erangel. Here, they do it against MCG, take a really nice spot in the circle for themselves with those new kind of crates and encampments that are there in the middle south of the military base, and they hold it down, and then they take, a tough fight against E36, and I think Edie could have been a thorn in the side for them, but Edie opted to kind of prone it out and wait, and so it does open it up for them. But again, this all starts with their ability to make good pushes, which is not something that, frankly, I've seen them do, but what they're doing now is they're making pushes with good information, and they're taking better fights, and it's a much improved Detonation Gaming White from what I've seen in previous times in their ability to push compounds.
And Cammy, I mean, you kind of saw Poro giggling a little bit towards the end there. We were kind of the same while we were watching that all unfold. Like, everything was going right for DA. They were tying it up. They were holding something down. All of a sudden, Booram just turns around and goes, nope, we're going to turn. We're going to get involved here. While you've got Mings on the opposing side as well, just waiting. So between Edie and Mings, like, destroying the hopes and dreams of DA, but ultimately just kind of showing how one person from any team can really scrape the barrel for points and pick you up into that top of region.
Yeah, that Burr push was something special. Even just making their way into the compound to begin with, they drove through so much fire because their approach, you saw how they make it. They made it all the way through the northern side coming in from the south, which they drove out in the open, wrapping around the compound. That's not an easy, or at least not a comfortable thing to do. And they did it twice with 2 separate vehicles. And so the fact that they went through all of that to push in and then just go through that, honest, and we'll be honest here, hilarious fight with DA, because when Mings got involved, there was so much chaos, so much action happening everywhere, and Mings was just having a real day with it, you have to say. I believe he got 4 kills. Yeah, 4 kills himself. I think all 4 of those, maybe 3 of them, came from that third-party trap that he found himself in and put Jamba up in 4th place.
As you can see, these are our final standings for today. We will continue with 4 more games tomorrow again. What we are fighting for currently within this certain group that we are casting, it's the choice of up to 17th down to 32nd. 32nd will not be playing in week 2. Meanwhile, from 17th downwards, in whatever part you finish on, that's how you'll be entering next week. When somebody gets a win, they go forward towards the weekly finals. You then step in. So the quicker, there's 2 benefits really. One, being up there at the top, it gives you more chance and more opportunities to get those weekly finals as quickly as possible. Simple as that. But if you do get into those weekly finals, the better part is that you don't have to go through this reseeding process again, at least for that week. You get your straight shot straight into it to try and grab your win, to try and back that and solidify your spot within those finals. Gents, I suppose that's it for us. We have to wrap it up now. I want to say thank you very much. We'll continue tomorrow. We have another 4 games to find how 17th through 32nd will finish and will be standing up. But for now, we need to end it because we've got to get on with the main matches. It will be the weekend finals coming up very shortly. Don't go anywhere. Thank you very much, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.
Hello, PUBG Esports fans. The PUBG Global Invitational.S, our biggest tournament yet, begins in February. With a tournament this big, there's a lot to take in. So let's take a look at the format and rules of PGI.S 2021. PGI.S's main event, the weekly series, will be held for a total of 6 weeks starting from February 8th. It is divided into the weekly survival taking place on weekdays and the weekly final held over the weekend. Unlike the previous global tournaments, points are not accumulated week over week, giving every team the same fighting chance each week. Weekly Survival features 16 matches held across 3 weekdays. The goal for teams is simple: win a single chicken dinner. Once you win, you stop playing and move on to the weekly final. The next team on the waitlist takes your place and a new match begins. This list is determined by ranked decision matches to decide the order our 32 teams participate. These 24 deciding matches take place over 3 days starting from February 5th and will divide our teams into 4 different groups. The top 16 teams from these groups face off in the weekly survival matches first. The weekly final is more like the PUBG Esports you're used to. 10 matches are held across 2 days, and points the teams earn are added up to decide their final ranking for the week. The 16 teams that played in the weekly final get the first shot at next week's weekly survival, and the remaining 16 teams decide their placement on the waitlist during a bottom 16 match held every Saturday, before the weekly final. From there, the cycle continues throughout the tournament. One of the big differences with PGI.S is that instead of receiving prize money based on your final rank is determined by how much prize money you've won. We're awarding prize money every week, and the team who has collected the most at the end will be crowned our PGI.S champion. Here's how it breaks down. The first 8 teams to win a weekly survival match each week take home an automatic cash prize, earning more the sooner they win. From there, the winners of the weekly finals tournament get an even bigger cash prize. The first place prize being $25,000 on week 1, and growing to an astounding $500,000 by week 6, giving teams lots of opportunity to catch up and claim the title. Winning isn't the only way teams are earning cash though. 30% of the total profit made from PGI.S item sales goes back to participating teams. This money will be distributed based on the percentage of money each team won in the tournament, with bigger rewards for the higher performing teams. So, not only do you get cool skins and voting coupons to earn even more cool skins, but you're also helping your favorite teams bring home more well-deserved prize money. Win-win! That about wraps up our overview of the PUBG Global Invitational.S. Initial ranking decisions happen on February 5th, and the first official matches kick off on February 8th. So be sure to tune in, pick your winners, and cheer on your favorite teams across 8 weeks of intense PUBG action.